this, Wizzy. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step. Marcus J is live. We in the building, ready to have an outstanding show. Y'all already know the stuff we're gonna talk about. We got Green Talk, we got Stephisodes. We're gonna talk about that video. I'm probably gonna hold it to a little bit later into the show so we can get some more folks. That doesn't mean that Coach Ship or Coach Miz hangs up. Y'all stay in with us. I shouted y'all out before the intro because y'all already know. I'll read your comments after we play the song. But yes, we're gonna talk about that video. Ain't no half step with Marcus J is live from NewDen of Legacy Internet Radio right now, y'all. And of course, the technical difficulties jumps in right there. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm shoot, with a technical difficulty, you know what? I think we cleaned it up. Here we go.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no how step with Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight, y'all. Social media, we thanking you for rocking with us. The folks checking us out on Facebook Live. Those folks checking us out right now on YouTube Live. Those folks that are checking out the archives in the future. We appreciate y'all as y'all rock with us every single week. We continue to roll with y'all. It's funny, right? Because, you know, the usual suspects who I'll introduce here in just a moment, we all just commented on how we're all pretty fired up and in a good mood and all of the things. Got ready to go live and computer wanted to act funky. I said, well, I'll be damned. But you know what? We're good. And I'm happy because I got you guys with us. We got through the nonsense and here we are ready to get through the show. So let me get some salutations in here first. Let's see. We got July Josh 7 stars is saying hello to us. Legacy Internet Radio alumni, a brother who just had a birthday who I hadn't seen in a long time. And I miss you, brother. I miss you, said. So mote it be, my brother. It's good to see you in here. Jersey City, always checking in. My brother Kevin is checking us out. Peace to the Cougars in Academic High School. Peace to you. Legacy, yeah, different kind of cougar. Peace to Legacy Internet Radio alumni. I had an opportunity to hang out with the Dating Pool Diva on Saturday at an event held by Mr. LP Steven Sykes, which was outstanding. He did a great job. But the best part about it was I got to hang out with one of the original 7 on Saturday. So thank you, Diva, for being my sister and rocking with us. Peace to Howard. Our brother Howard Russell is checking in. He says, what's up to the peeps? Peace to you, brother. Let me see. You got Coach Reggie Ship, who is checking in. He says, salute my brother from Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida. Well, I'll be damned. We getting some love. Let's see. He says, happy grand anniversary. Keep grinding, kicking knowledge, and making a difference. Let's see. Coach Miz, one of my favorite people, Legacy and Radio alumni himself, is saying happy radio anniversary, El Capitan. Much love and admiration. Salute. Appreciate that. Let's see. July Wellness, July Ja. I think I shouted you out, but says, hey, hanging out over here on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube giving some love to YouTube. So that's a lot, man. And my big brother is checking us out. My first barber and one of the most brilliant men I ever known. I would sit in his chair as a 14-year-old and soak up his 16-year-old knowledge. And here we are 35 years later. He's still doing it. Retired. I traveled. Oh yeah, that's my man right there. I traveled to Baltimore when he retired to get one last haircut from this man. Yeah, man, he's listening right now. So peace to you, brother. It's so good. And I hope retirement is treating you well, because, bro, I see you online and it looks like it is. I am. I am. So let's get some salutations in, and folks that are checking us out, I will ask you to do us all a favor. We're going to talk about the video. Everybody that's listening, we're going to talk about the video. We're going to get to it. But like and share. I don't often ask y'all to do that. I'm asking y'all to do that tonight so that the folks who you rock with, since you rock with us, you think we dope, they probably going to think we dope too. But they may not know who we is. So we're going to ask y'all to help us. So if you rock with us, that's going to be something that I ask y'all to do every single week, especially our regulars, the ones that come who check in with us every single week. We appreciate that, but share it. Share it. So anyway, enough of the soapbox. I'm short, so I stay on it. I will pass the con to the crew, the usual suspects, as I introduce them. First up, my brother who sits across the table with me. He's got on an awesome hat. Interlocking NY. We're not going to do this again like we did last week. I just like his hat. He's my brother, John Green, who I affectionately say in my corny version, John Green, in my Chris Rock voice. What's up, John? How you doing, bro? Yeah, man.
Special shout out again, checking in July. How you doing?
Yeah, yes.
New listener, but awesome person. also want to say summertime is a wonderful time. We really having a good time in the weather. Aren't we?
We are.
hate this weather.
I love it. I love it.
literally cannot
I
stand
love
this
the
weather.
hotter
I
the
can't
better.
wait till it's done.
The hotter the better.
I love it. I love it.
Helping me not miss my second home. And yeah, things are just good, bro. Things are just real good. I want to say something though.
Yeah.
You always say if you rock with us, we roll with y'all.
Yep.
I like to say if y'all hip to us, we'll take the hop with y'all.
Yeah. All right. All right. I like it, John. Look at you.
To my left, you're right.
Yes.
So we got this.
We have our co-host, our sister, who, quite frankly, is fine as fuck, y'all. She just is.
Listen, video no justice.
None. Be jealous of us. Be jealous. Be jealous of us. Be jealous of us. But here's the best part. Here's the best part. She really shines when she rocks the mic. And this is a moment for us to rock the mic. My sister, who sits on my right side because she's my right hand, Steph B. Yeah.
Not many people who make me giggle, but y'all definitely do. You are missed when
Yes.
you're not together, and I love when we are together. I appreciate you, brother. As usual, always forward. I hope that you had a good weekend, and I'm excited that we walked into the den with all this ammo today.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to. Thank you, Coach Ship, for letting me know the mics was down, so they didn't hear much of what John said, but it was brief.
Really?
And Steph is back up. So
man.
yeah, they missed it.
They missed
No,
They missed y'all telling them I was fine.
They missed him saying it. They heard me. But Coach Ship, thanks for backing us up, man. I appreciate it. Michelle is checking us out.
Okay.
So peace to you. Hey girl. Thank you.
Michelle.
And Uncle H just checked in too.
Damn,
Yeah.
what good people.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate the
I
support.
I feel good. I feel good. So it's I think we have it properly set up. I think we have the salutations in. We got a lot to get to. We're gonna talk about the video, y'all, but we're gonna hold on to that one for a little bit
Are
of
we gonna
time.
show the video or just talk about it?
I think we could probably maybe potentially if we can get a good one.
Yeah.
And I know we had a couple of good ones that
I got
flew.
a 6-minute joint.
Yeah, it's way too long.
That's-
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's way too long, and that's
It's
the reason.
good, though.
And that's the reason why I'm hesitant on playing
Yeah,
it.
good point.
Because everybody's seen it. Everybody's seen it. So we teasing it now, but we're gonna jump right into Green Talk. We're gonna do that first. And so, John, you got the con. Let's get into Green Talk, and we'll have a word from our brother John as I try to fill while he still holds his phone.
No, listen.
This
Um,
man and his phone.
No. I'm
Yeah.
ready for Green Talk, but help me out because we had something I wanted to add to the Green Talk. Because I had my
Yes.
Green Talk. What
So,
was
all
it?
right. So here's what we're gonna do. Before we do that,
Let's do
I
that
got.
subject and then run into my Green Talk.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull up what it was, but I got one more salutation I need to get in. One of my favorite people. I've known this sister for well over 30 years. She is my sister. She is my friend.
You old.
And yeah, right. Jersey City is checking us out. And I want to give some special love to my sister, Dr. Pre. She has been on this show before. I have been on her show. Girl, I love you. So thank you for being here and supporting us and supporting me. So there's some love for you. So Green Talk. So what we were planning to talk about in Green Talk was living off the grid and 401ks. So go ahead and set it up. I know that when we got into that in the production meeting, like we were all pretty clear that we want a piece of that one. So go ahead and set us up, get us going. We're gonna talk about sisters and relationships with Black women and Steph episodes next, and then after that we will talk about the video. So we're gonna make you wait a little bit, folks, but trust me, it'll be worth it because John's got a lot to say about that video. Steph's got a lot to say about that video. And if you've ever been in a room with me with a mic or no mic, I got a lot to say about that video. So, and I'm a Black person that can swim. What you got, John?
Michael J. Phelps.
I
Yeah.
want to talk really about living off the grid and then get into the green talk a little bit. I want us all to talk about getting off the grid because right now it's important. We are dealing with a lot of things people don't know about. A lot of new age warfare has to do with EMPs, right? And messing up infrastructure and online and stuff like that. And if stuff goes down, you got to know how to survive. Can you make a fire? Do you have a go pack? I got a go pack.
I got to go pack.
I got a go pack. I got a tarp. I got wire, duct tape, lighters. I don't have my canned food, but I can grab that out the cabinet. A blanket, right? I know how to make a shelter. What I want to buy is there's two things I want to buy. They have a foldable saw, right? That unfolds and is curved. It's Japanese made. It's really good strong saw. And I want to buy this multifaceted hatchet, which is a hatchet, a hammer, a knife. It got a compass and stuff in the thing. Those two things I haven't bought, but I'm going to purchase those. It's important to know how to live off the grid. And guess what? Off the grid might be in your house. But if the power and the internet and everything goes down and you don't know how to function, right? In the middle of the winter, you don't know how to, make a hole in a piece of wood, put it in the wall, put it in the window, get you some kind of pipe to get a fire going so the smoke will go out so you don't kill yourselves. Yeah. Right. and deal with stuff like that. If you don't know how to take wet wood and make it burn, right? If you don't know how to make a fire, like even if you don't have lighters, I got lighters in the house, in the car, in my go pack. I got lighters everywhere. If you don't have matches, right? If you don't know what's a good tree for firewood and what isn't good fire, most people don't know. Like you build a fire, you burn it for about an hour. You can't go to sleep because then you're gonna freeze to death because the fire is gonna burn out about an hour, maybe an hour and a half if you're lucky. I know how to make a fire that burns for 5 hours. Right? So it's like, we gotta get these things. Now, as far as growing food and hunting, I don't know if I'll ever make a good hunter because I don't think I can skin something and do that. I can grow some vegetables. If need be. Do you understand what a rainwater filtration system looks like? Can you make one on your own as opposed to buying one? Do you know what one costs? Do you understand about hooking up solar panels and battery packs and things of that nature? It's a lot of stuff. I really want our people, our melanated folks, to get into this stuff because the others, they into it hard body. They got their kids into it, so we got to get into it,
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. I always shout this man out. I hope he knows I don't have the opportunity to have him on the show or checking in often, but he just checked in and said peace. I usually refer to him as my oldest friend. We started when I was 3 and he was 2 years old. He's the man that says create the world you want to live in. That's our brother K-Dub. He's checking us out. He says peace. Peace to you, K-Dub. Legacy in that radio alumni Mama Mika is checking us out. And she says you can hunt, but you can hunt, but it doesn't mean you would be the one to the skin. You would be the one to skin the animal. Okay, right. I'm sorry. Right. Thank you, Mama Mika. I agree with that, and I guess because I got the mic, I'll jump in here. Steph, please follow me here. But I certainly think that it's important. I don't know that many of our people are equipped to rough it. I hike regularly, at least once a week. I went hiking yesterday. I text y'all from my spot yesterday, so it ain't far and it's a very comfortable spot. So I'm certainly not making myself seem like I could be a mountain man or someone who would be okay. But I think I would live for at least a day or so, hopefully. But the reality is when we talk about living off the grid, you're not talking about camping at Pony Pasture. That ain't what you talk about. And I realize that. I honestly don't know many of us inner city bred folks who have that in our skill set. So I do have a bag. I keep a bag in my car. I keep money, water, not money. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I keep water in the car. I keep blankets and flashlights and all of the stuff that they tell you you're supposed to keep in the car. So I got all of that. I carry a man bag that has a lot of the other, necessary personal items with me. So I have that. Mama's car is set up. My wife's car is set up. So we are okay for a little while, but if shit go down, I honestly, Steph, talk to me. I don't know how well we would fare beyond a couple days. 2 times since, well, not last week's show, 2 times right before last week's show, power went out of my house. I lost power twice. So I got a generator, but I've also been in that house where power went down for extended period of time. We had a couple of hurricanes here about 17, 18, 20, almost 20 years ago. When I first bought that, I bought the house 21 years ago. So right after that, we had 2 big hurricanes in back-to-back seasons that caused us some stress. So perhaps this is something that really, really needs more dialogue than any of us has ever given it. We got some salutations. I'll come back to those after you speak. I won't come back to it after you speak, Steph. You go first.
I think when I was discussing this earlier, the reason that I brought it up was because I had been reading a lot of, actually reading a book that was discussing, our dependence on the government. And, everything that we have that begins with immediate sustainability, power, land, water source, things like that are typically controlled by the government. And so for me, as I was sitting there thinking, yes, I considered that a huge part of the Black population is in urban environments, but I started doing some research, and there's tons of things that I think people need to do to not make off the grid living this kind of, I'm so prepared, what about you people? The fact of the matter is most people immediately in their mind go to off the grid and picture themselves out in the world like it's Walking Dead. And there are plenty of resources that talk about what you have to do to sustain yourself off the grid in urban environments. The problem is that we think so little about it that even when we think we're speaking about it from an educated perspective, we're immediately talking about getting out of the city and you got to go find this and you got to hunt and shoot deer and this, that, and the other. If you cannot leave the city and you want to learn how to live off the grid as much as possible, whether you live in an apartment or a home within city limits, there are ways to do it. And so, I think that's the primary thing, is to not make people feel like simply because they can't shoot a deer and skin a buck, it's the only way to exist off the grid. Because every single, I think about I Am Legend.
Yeah, great movie.
This man was living off the grid in New York City. It's a movie. But the point is, the same people who will be like, that was just a movie, or will be the same people that tell you that if you see it in a movie, the government's already doing it, blah, blah, blah. So no debating that.
I'm that guy.
No debating that.
I say that all the time.
It might be a movie, but the fact of the matter is, it's relevant to the fact that you could live in the city of Richmond and be off the grid. And a lot of what they talk about living off the grid in an urban environment is no different than learning how to live off the grid in the suburbs or the country. Because even when you live in the country, it doesn't mean that everywhere you live out in the country, there's an immediate water source. People in the country are paying for county water, so there are resources out there. And this is the most important part for me, that will tell you how to reduce your self-reliance on the grid while living in an urban environment. Because for some people, it may not be as conducive to, get into the country and out in the woods. And if you cannot, there are plenty of things you can do. The simple thing of learning how to grow in your home, hydroponics, solar. You can
y'all
harness,
grow that weed, right? Y'all can grow some vegetables too.
Yeah, real shit.
You can harness solar energy in your house, in your apartment, without big, gigantic solar panels.
Yep.
Keeping a 5-gallon bucket stored in your apartment.
Yep.
It's things like that. I think often we immediately assume that where we are is the inconvenience, and it's not. It's what we know.
Right.
That's the inconvenience.
Yeah.
You can live in New York City and the world fall apart, and you could live off the grid. The question is, how do you do it?
Right.
And so don't discount and dismiss where you are. Look at the wealth of knowledge you have and find the resources that will tell you how to do that, because survival is survival. People have been surviving in urban environments with a lack of resources for many, many years. People have been surviving in the country. I think we immediately, particularly those of us who are northern, we buy the myth. Not everybody in the South is hunting and shooting either.
No, I'm glad you made that point, because I think a lot of us think that.
Right.
Let me get a
we go, oh, I'm not from here. Now I will just follow the first city country person. That country person,
No.
he's living in a ramshack house.
Yeah.
And he's crapping in a outhouse. He's living off the grid because he doesn't have anything, but it doesn't mean he's living well.
No. Ain't no ask that Marcus. They live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. Let me get a couple of these comments and salutations. And Coach Miz says, El Capitan has seen my compound. We grow food and hunt, which is how the young folks say these days? Facts. Yeah. Mama Mika says, I know a little.
That part.
But yeah, that part, right? We talked about that part earlier, right? Mama Mika says, I know a little, but I need to learn how to hunt. She says, we got it in us. One of the, let me see, I'm gonna come back to that comment because there's a reason I'm gonna come back to that comment, Mika. I'm gonna skip to your other comment. Like never drinking sitting water or salt water, what to do when that's your only resource. How about how to read the sun and stars for locations? I'm just now learning that one. I'm learning the sun and stars for locations now. So that's a good one that you bring that up, and being able to tell what time of day it is by the position of the sun. I'm doing my due diligence with learning that. One of our sisters taught me how to read the moon while the sun is going to rise in the east and set in the west. The moon is a whole different animal, where it's going to appear and when it's going to appear and how high, how low, obviously. And then you got to deal with the crescent versus the full versus the new. So there's a lot to learn on how to rough it in nature. Let's see. Here's the comment that I wanted to come back to. Mama Mika says, let's see, perhaps we need classes to make a big deal to our people, making fire, plants we can eat, what's the poisons, how to make shelter, got to know how to skin an animal without busting them guts and taking the meat. That's a big one. I'm so glad you said that. That's a big one. Our brother Jaja is checking us out. He's saying peace. What's good, brother Marcus? Peace to you, brother. It's good to see you, man. It's been a long time since I've seen you. It's glad to see you rocking with us. All right, so here's the piece that Mama Mika said that I wanted to read this comment leading into my next salutation. Mama Mika says, one of the hardest things is making a fire in a wet environment. The next salutation is coming from the person that said good morning. And the person that said good morning, and we know all about what it's like to try to make a fire in cold and wet and crazy environments. I remember being on the balcony on Chamberlain Avenue circa 1993 or so, 94. And me and Sue would be out there in cold with newspaper and matches trying to light up the grill. Yeah, so I said I love you. And this is where we say to our sister, good morning, Sue. Yeah, ask that Marcus. You're live from NewDen Legacy and their radio. Let me see if I got any more comments before there's a few more here. All right, so Sue said we get it done though. Yeah, we absolutely got it done. Mama Mika says, how about a general map? No, that's not Mama Mika. That's somebody else. That is the Legal Eagle, Tamika Robinson. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry. She is checking us out. She is Legacy and a Legacy Internet Radio alumni as well. So we got two Tamikas checking us out right now. Tamika Robinson, our Legal Eagle, says, how about a general map reading and compass reading skills? That moss grows on the north side of trees, and you can eat a lot with flour and water. So definitely appreciate the folks that are checking us out on that particular comment.
One thing I want to say, Marcus,
let me get some more of these in here because they're
absolutely.
coming in pretty quickly. So I
Yeah,
want
I
to get
got a
them
couple
all
of
in,
things.
and then we can go back to it. Michelle Wilson says, my father taught us a lot of survival skills in and out of the city. My mom was very good at growing all things vegetable and herbs, important lessons to have. Let's see. Cozy Creations, Lady V. Peace to you. Thank you for checking us out.
Hey,
Says
V.
communication is key. Walkie-talkie, 100-mile ratios, first aid batteries, battery packs, grilled charcoal for living off the grid. Last salutation I'll get in, and then I'll pass it back to you. This is who I go to when I got questions, when I need to know how am I supposed to move in this realm. He's my mentor in this thing we call internet radio. I call him the OG. My brother Tech of 101 The Fam is checking us out right now.
Tech.
Peace to you, man. Thank you for your support. He says, I will probably cry. I'm awful.
Don't look.
Yeah,
Tech,
man.
I'm talking big stuff, but I was reading that article feeling real uncomfortable. So
Yeah,
don't
man.
feel bad, bro.
One,
That's honest.
one more salutation that just came in. A legendary figure in this town and in hip hop is checking us out right now. Our brother Finley Bradford. I know who you is, brother. Thank you for your support. Thank you for rocking. He says peace and blessings. Solar generator is something that
That's right.
we want to jump in here. So thank you. And Mama Mika, you are absolutely not going too far. Keep it coming.
Yeah,
Steph, go and then I'll go.
Okay.
I just briefly want to say the other thing that, I was just, as I was reading that same article, that I was thinking is it's really important to understand what you already have in your home. Because we do go for the, I have my lighters, I have this, I have that, but there are things in your home that have filters. You need those. You need to learn how to take things apart, extract those filters. You can use them. Every single mechanical thing started out as widgets and pieces. So it's just as simple to be able to deconstruct those things and, or know and understand where you can go to get certain things. I think about the fact if you have a Ninja blender in your house, how sharp those blades are and how those blades hold up and aren't needed to be resharpened for you. Well, there you go. You immediately have a tool, and part of being able to survive any situation, not just off the grid or this, that, and the other. Most people, if you watch things like I Survived or all those things, it's the ability to think in a tough time. And I think one of the areas I'm more concerned, not just about our people, but people in general, is we have stopped challenging our children in schools to think critically, to have their own mindset, to challenge others, to think outside the box. And so are our people, or our people in general, going to be prepared for the kind of mindset it takes to think beyond the box? Truly, not just because you're creative and do, all the creative things, but really to be able to look around your space and say, if I want to survive this, what do I need to do?
John, Mama Mika says it's mental altitude. Jump in here, bro.
Yeah, a lot of it is that, right? And people who want to survive will survive. You're gonna find a way. I just want to touch on a couple things that people need to just really think about. If you're in an apartment, urban setting, think about buying a metal stove, right? A wood burning stove. You can get a small one that's cheap. You can keep it in the closet. They're not that big. You can keep it in the closet, right? And if you ever need it, you just gotta before you even have to use it, get you a piece of wood, right? That's wide as your window, right? And cut a hole in it the size of the pipe. Use some heavy duty aluminum foil to wrap that piece of wood and just keep it in your closet. Because if you ever need a wood burning stove, you got it. That's for heat, that's for cooking, that's for a lot of stuff. Again, duct tape. Duct tape is very flammable. It'll burn for a long time. A box of crayons. Again, that wax that burns for a long time, like a real long time. It's the stuff you could just have around the house. If the power goes down on citywide, the water running in your tap is not going to be any good. You're going to need to boil the water. Know that you need it in a rolling boil for 2.5 minutes, right? Not on the fire for 2.5 minutes. You got to see the bubbles bubbling, not simmering, rolling, boil 2.5 minutes. Then you've boiled out most of the contaminants. Using cotton cloth as a filter for dirty water. If you got to get dirty water, use a piece of cotton cloth, like a 100% cotton t-shirt, over a bucket or a glass or whatever. Pour the water through, get most of the dirt out, boil it, roll and boil for 2.5 minutes, then repeat the process of over the cotton, right? That'll get you some clean water. Little things like that in an urban setting are very, very important. And tons of batteries. Keep your batteries. They have this small, it's about the size of this speaker. It's about the size of the speaker, right? It's a charger and a stove, and it's solar. So it folds out into metal, and it's a little stove. You can use twigs and whatever to burn the cook on. It'll cook a small pot, boil a small pot of water. It also has a component to it that's a small solar panel. It's enough charge to charge your phone and charge a small light, right? So you need something like that. Know how to read a compass, know how to check out a video. There's one on YouTube about using a stick in the ground and using a shadow to create a compass. You can use the shadow of the sunlight when there's no shadow, and when the first part of the shadow comes, where that's going to be at, how to make a compass on the ground to know which direction you're going in, knowing the stars, looking at star charts, where you are, and knowing when you look up in the sky where you might be, because they look different from where you're at. So things like that.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Shout out to our brother James who's checking us out. It seems that we got Richmond, Jersey City, and now VUU is checking us in. So peace to you, brother. Thank you for rocking. And Mama Mika, you talking about 9-volt batteries. That's what you were asking about. Our brother Finley says they have available personal water purifiers for camping and dehydrated foods that last for 30-year shelf life. So wow, I hadn't even considered. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that. Thank you, Finley. Thank you, brother. Let's see. Mama Mika says good stuff. Using the shadow for direction. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Normally, I would say my corny line. I think I'm gonna save it for later since our brother had to step out for just a moment. But we are going to shift onto Stephisodes from Green Talk. Now, the next thing we're gonna get into after Stephisodes is the Brawl. We're gonna talk about the Brawl. We can talk about the Brawl next.
Alabama uprising.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we the video. We got to talk about the video. So, but next we are gonna have a conversation. A sister's gonna lead us in a conversation about sisters. So let us do that and see where this goes. So what you got, Stephisodes?
So I happen to be on Twitter, which is was my social media platform of choice. I like it because it's, there's politics, there's news, there's conversation, right? And I was on there and someone was saying, I wish Black women got along better. And he had this whole, and it was a he, penis people. So he wanted to talk about how Black women don't get along well enough for him. And he had all these examples that really were driven from pop culture, what you see on TV, which immediately helped me understand the mindset. Because if love and hip hop is your example, it's not much I can do for you or with you, right? And I started, and so my opening salvo is, y'all tell a whole bunch of lies about Black women in our relationships. That's my hypothesis. So we're gonna start right there. And this is the interesting thing. I went to predominantly white institutions, or what they call PWIs, for most of my schooling. Once I started schooling outside of Brooklyn, going into Jersey, it was predominantly white institutions. Same with my collegiate experience, PWIs. My earliest experience with women and creating friendships and relationships outside of Brooklyn was with mostly white women. Really, until I got well into my corporate career and my life as a entrepreneur, most of the people I was engaged with on a regular basis were non-Black women. So I always, for personal reasons and based on personal experiences and the fact that I am one of 40 some odd grandchildren with lots of girls, I've always had good relationships with Black women. So what I was seeing from white women, it didn't move me in any way. It didn't make me feel a way, or, when I had to address something, I addressed something. I've always been well aware of myself as a Black woman or a Black girl. But I got up close experience with white women and their relationships. And what I realize is that the majority of the time when people are talking about how Black women get along, they're putting it in this silo as though every other race of women internally get along so well with one another. So they're thinking that white women are picking daisies together and picnicking and doing self-care moments together 24/7, and we're killing each other on videotape because that's what you like to share for your own entertainment. So it's this constant, and now it started to bleed into Black woman conversation. Oh, I don't trust females. If you're a woman and you use the word female, which is a adjective and not a noun, in the case of which you're using it, I immediately stop listening, just like I treat it just the way when men treat it. It's ignorant. We're women. You're not sitting around like, I don't trust males. No, you say, I don't trust men. So there's the equivocation there. But when I hear women say, I don't trust other women, I don't make friends with other women, I want to remind them or let them know you're speaking from a very narrow perspective. You're speaking from a point of patriarchy, which is really where that narrative always often comes from, because just like it's good for certain segments of society to separate us, it is helpful for men to separate women. It keeps the power structure in order. So as I was listening to that, I started to review. And one of the very first things I remember was being in middle school. I won't say what grade, but being in middle school. And a rumor had gone around about a particular young girl. And she was a couple years older than me. And let's lead it to say that the rumor led to her being called by a very specific nickname, Blowfish, for the next 4 years. And when someone would get mad at her, when they would have annoyance with her, when they were talking behind her back. Now, I want you to understand that in this environment, there were 3 Black girls in this whole school, 3 of us at this point in time. I was the original only one, if that helps. And so my day-to-day experience during my formative years, if I wasn't on the block in Brooklyn somewhere, was with white women in New Jersey. And they were not nice to one another. And the movies you see, Mean Girls and the Plastics and all of that, I was seeing that in real time. So the behaviors that people immediately, the way that people immediately classify Black women in our relationships, including other Black women, is usually based on a falsehood that you have about non-Black women, that there's some kind of solidarity being built with them. I will tell you, they're competing more with one another because they're fighting over something that they acknowledge very early, which is the need to contribute and be a part of patriarchy. They're fighting for men by the time they're in 5th or 6th grade. They'll tell you that Bobby Joe's dad is a doctor and his mom is a stay-at-home wife and I'm going to marry him and blah, blah, blah. They're doing that very early. On the flip side, my experience with Black women has been that if I were going to be homeless, the likelihood of me picking up the phone and calling someone that wasn't a Black woman would probably be 0.00 -0%. Black women are consistently doing these things and demonstrating these things, even being called stupid for certain things that we do in the community. And so my question becomes, why is it so comfortable for people to adopt and repeat that Black women do not have good relationships when your entire community is full of big mamas taking care of other Black women's children? Your entire, let me tell you something. Some of what you see about Black women too, when you see us going back, you can't be friends with a Black woman as another Black woman and not be accountable. I know brothers right now hanging out with deadbeat dads, drinking with them, smoking with them. He ain't seen his kids. Do that in a group of Black women, and to your face, they be like, you can't go with who watching your kids tonight? And it happens pretty consistently. So that is my question. Why is it so hard to disbelieve your eyes and repeat the stereotypes and myths about Black women? Because you know it's not true. Single mothers are building communities together. Why is it so difficult for us to be able to acknowledge that what you see on TV with Portia and them on your reality show, that is not the average experience of Black women? And if you believe it is, I want to hear, your opinion of that.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Let me get a salutation and a comment in, and then John, you'll take the first word and I'll follow you on this one. He just checked in. He's my brother. He's my best friend in the world. He says peace and salutation to my brothers, and good evening to the lovely and talented Steph B. Congrats, my brother, on your 12 years in internet radio. Keep rocking. I'ma keep rolling. Love you, bro. Those words come from the pretty boy. Our brother Damon is checking us out. Love you too, man. Thank you for rocking. And he he said good morning, Sue, because he had to make sure he had to make sure that he got that in, and she responded. And Sue said she can't stand those shows.
I can't.
Mama Mika.
I only watch the reunions because I can't do anything else, and I'm curious. By the time the reunion comes, I'm curious about the human dynamic.
Yeah,
you know.
Mama Mika jumped in and says we too busy being hard, and she also said congrats to us, and that congrats is shared by you because you're a part of the legacy. So thank you. Mama Mika, while you're there, Steph is asking you to expound. So you've been with us most of the night. Go ahead and stay with us, and we appreciate, obviously, continue. And I miss you too, man. Being in the studio with you, and it was shenanigans, and you already know what it is with it. So peace to you. Yeah, brother and sister shenanigans. She was on the show with Big Bro Joe. So we appreciate you, Mama Mika, and thank you for being with us throughout this balance of tonight's show. So John, jump in here. I'll follow you with regards to my comment, but Steph said a lot. I want you to say a lot, and then I'll say a lot more.
A lot of people who follow me on social media know I do Big John, the Jeweler's Gem of the Day, and one of my gems a while back was it's impossible for you to you have to know how to love yourself before you can love anyone else in any way, shape, or form. All of that, in my opinion, all of that bickering and back and forth and all that comes from self-hatred. Once you get good with you, all of that falls by the wayside. Women, you gotta, in my opinion, humble opinion, take that long look in the mirror in the morning and know that you're great. Everybody is born with a certain genius level talent, and if you're not exercising that talent, you gotta, find out what it is, nurture it, develop it, and make it a part of your life, and know that you're great as an individual. And once you have that, you don't see the flaws. You don't see other people's flaws. You start seeing other people's genius level talent in them that they don't see. And you start pointing it out to them. You start telling them things. And then you realize also that, you will attract to like-minded individuals, people who want to, have those, little catty sessions and talking about each other and all that. You won't want to be around them because you're not that way. You'll feel uncomfortable, and you'll get comfortable with the people that you're comfortable with. One thing I might disagree with a little bit, Steph, and I know you're not one to generalize, but I will say for the most part, the men I know, the melanated brothers I know, we don't tolerate certain men around us. And if you're not taking care of home, even if you ain't got kids, if you're not I'm not gonna be around a woman beater. No way. I'm not gonna be around a deadbeat. I'm not gonna be around a bum.
I appreciate that, but y'all already know I don't do qualifiers, and I'm not gonna not all men, because just because you don't hang around them doesn't mean you don't know people who do. It doesn't mean that there aren't people out there that literally your crew of homeboys. Statistically, there are people out there who have homeboys that are hanging with that. So it may not be you, but I also don't. So based on what you said about women, the advice you were giving women, and I don't mean to do that, but the advice you were giving women, are you saying that you do believe that Black women do not create or do not demonstrate a bond of sisterhood?
Not at all. Not no more than any other group. I think like all of the misnomers of race, and everybody knows how I feel about race, is bullshit. It's a construct, and people buy into it all they want. I think the complexion of a woman has nothing to do with her ability or inability to make friends and have meaningful relationships, be them what they may. I don't think her melon or lack
but that's
thereof.
not the narrative that's put out.
Yeah, but
you do understand that,
but
Black women, and it's important to acknowledge that the narrative wouldn't be relevant if it wasn't something that we are often judged against. The reason I bring up things like this is because this type of assumption or perception of Black women extends into when they go to school, when they go into corporate America, whether people want to hire you or not, the belief of whether you're the shit starter or not, the idea that we are somehow always the fire that's the person that started the fire in the room. These things are relevant. So while, and I get it, you may not, we all agree race is a construct, but it is a construct in which we judge one another by, and unfortunately, Black women, just like we have an attitude, Latinas are spicy, we get a raw deal in that. And it's important to address the fact that people do perceive Black women. You don't see it online like white girls can't get along. You will see it all the time about Black women that for some reason we can't get along. When I will say culturally, we are forced to prove it more often than others. We are forced to prove it within our culture based on the statistics of single motherhood and things like that. And I watch it consistently. So to this, it'd be great to say that race doesn't matter and all those other things. But when you live under the idea that people are moving and taking that stereotype as a belief, and it is then impacting people that look like me, women that look like me when they want to go into the workplace, and there are these assumptions, well, they don't even get along with each other. As a matter of fact, I worked in an environment where a Black man literally told our white boss, well, I don't know, because you know how Black women can be. So these things happen. It's almost dismissive not to acknowledge that it is a part of our lived experience.
100%, but I think we need to draw the line and be very clear of the difference between race and racism. What we're talking about is racism. It's like Black on Black crime. Yeah, women. Are there issues among women? Of course, there are issues among women, and Black women and white women have same experiences and have different experiences. The narrative is the narrative because we must maintain a permanent underclass. We must. Otherwise, we won't have an upper class, right? So in order to do that, we have to put people down, make them continuously the bottom of the scale. And the way we do that is create these false narratives with these dog whistle terminologies.
Well, I wish I had the ability to just look at the young sisters that are being suspended from school by 4th or 5th grade and just saying, remember, that's just a narrative. This is an impact.
No,
and I don't disagree with you.
Of course, it's an impact. It's an impact when we say things about people, Black people, all the time. And yes, women, because it's a patriarchal society, catch the short end of the stick more often just by being a woman. They call the double when they're hiring in HR, the double ethnic. Like I get the double, I get the woman and the Black, so I knocked out 2 for 1. Y'all get the short end of the stick, of course. I'm not trying to deny that, but what I'm saying is the concentration, I believe, needs to be placed on the fact that this is racism in in its effect, in the way it works and what it's doing. And we need to concentrate on re-educating and rinsing out the brainwash that's going on to have people actually believe in this nonsense. And at some point, parents got to take accountability. What are your kids dealing with? Who are they around? Right? Don't have your kids around people that you don't know, right? And if you know that these people are don't and children are given, I think, a little bit too much freedom and consideration, and the fact that not consideration for the fact that they don't know how to make decisions. So sometimes parents, y'all need to make decisions for these kids. I don't care if she like her. I don't care if that's her bestie. I know what her parents is about. You can't be around her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I gotta draw that line, and that's it.
Ain't no how Steph Marcus say live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. Let me get a couple of salutations in before I make my comment. John T. Murray is checking us out. Peace to you. Thank you for rocking with us. He says,
That's my friend.
that's your friend?
Yeah.
Hey, John T.
Thank you.
Peace to you, brother. I guess it depends on what side of town you're on, because it's definitely not a kumbaya across the board in the media. It's definitely exploited as the narrative because it definitely is selling. Yes, how children are being raised is a big factor. One more salutation. I just saw that we have a very, very special person who is watching and listening. This is the man that raised yours truly, my moral compass, and the greatest man I ever known. My pops is checking us out. Pops J, peace to you, brother. Thank you for rocking. I look forward to the time I get to put my arms around you. And that'll be very soon, as we've already discussed it. Ain't no hostile Marcus J.
I'm riding up.
Live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. So, couple things on this one, right? First thing, while I understand and respect where you're going, John, this ain't got nothing to do with nothing but black women, because it was led and opened up as black women. So I don't want to bring in racism in a conversation about black women, because it was opened up about black women.
But isn't that what we're talking about?
We talking about black women. We talking about black women and how they move with each other.
Well, the reason they're moving with each other like that is because of racism. Based on what she
No,
said.
but that's
She
my
said
point.
the
We're
narrative-
not moving with each other like that, and there is this belief that we are.
And that's because of racism, because of the narrative that's being pushed forward, like you said.
Let me continue.
Causing this bad attitude.
Let me continue.
And it's a false narrative.
He's still
That
talking.
is racism.
I said, let me continue. Let me continue. I don't think it's got nothing to do with nobody but black women. So that's what I'm going to say. You had your opinion when you spoke. Here's time for me to speak on mine. I think it's a situation where we put a lot of stock in the relationship, but the reality is I don't think it is as bad as we have often given it credit for. Now, we do see a lot of images that we need to talk about. Like, we need to talk about why sisters who I know who commune with one another, who support one another and refer to each other as sisters, while we also are often hear, the narrative of, I'm not friends with women because this and that. I also know sisters who don't rock with nobody but other sisters. And when you talked about how you can't come with us, who's watching your kid, like, those are the sisters that I know who speak that way. And John, when you were talking about brothers, I 100% agree with you, because I've often said on this show, when we talk about deadbeat dads and all that, I don't know them cats. I know plenty of dudes that ain't with their chick, but every single one of them want to know what's up with their kid. They want to know how they can spend time with their kid. They want to send a check with their kids so that they can make sure that their kid is good. I'm speaking in simple language to make a point. I want to make this about guys, but it's the same thing with sisters. So the narrative that, we have an issue, I just don't subscribe to it. Now, I'm not a woman. I can prove it. I'm not a woman. You just have to trust me, because I'm not going to prove it. Nah, you ain't debate. Ain't no debate with me.
You know what a woman is? We don't want to do that. He's not.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. It's too easy. There's the ladies I could get you to ask if I'm a dude. I am a mess. I'm a mess. But Mama Mika says, right, Marcus, sometimes don't get it because I don't know those people. I honestly don't. Now, having said all of that, I do have a problem with some of the reality shows that show our sisters in the most negative light, and those same positive sisters, and I didn't use the term positive, but I'll use the term positive now. But those same sisters who love on each other, they can't wait to watch those shows. And you mentioned that you potentially will watch the closeout show. Now, that kind of desire for me ended with Flavor of Love. I was fascinated that these beautiful women wanted to be with Flavor Flav. But then I figured out that it was a work.
Yeah.
To use pro wrestling terms, a work means it's fake, right? So once I realized that, then it's like, just like all those other shows. But why would we celebrate a sister cussing another sister out, throwing chairs and wilding? I do struggle with that because that is not my reality. I have never in my life been around a sister that threw a chair at another sister. Now, I know that she exists. I ain't never seen it in front of me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
So,
that's my point. You have never hung with those brothers, but they exist. That was my only point about that.
Okay.
When I made that, it wasn't that they don't exist. Clearly, I have a family full of Black men who are wonderful fathers, so I would never say that. My only point was there is a certain comfort level with dudes like, yo, I'm not getting in that man's business. And sometimes the thing you see between Black women when we are, as you might call it, coming for one another is a level of accountability that other people are not exhibiting or are not putting out there. And the other thing I say is, if you find that you are a Black woman that doesn't find Black women to be friendly, I think you should check yourself, because literally, no joke, just Saturday I put in about 5 hours of work in Starbucks and Saturday on my laptop, and one of those hours was transitioned to me. Just a Black woman walked in, and I did what Black women did. I was like, okay, Gitano jeans, because she had on Gitano. That's 19.
Okay. Now, once she says okay, and whatever comes next, that means she likes.
Yeah, for the people who don't speak Black girl.
Context.
I was like, okay, Gitano.
Context
and she turned
clues.
around and said, thank you. And we ended up sitting there drinking a cup of coffee and talking for a whole hour.
Which is far more common than folks want to give credit.
Exactly. Exchanging information. We have so many commonalities. And while you can say, race is a construct and all these other things, the fact of the matter is, I've seen Real Housewives of New Jersey. Those women were throwing chairs at each other, but that's not the example that people discuss when they talk about women not getting along. And I will tell you that Black women get along far more than you think. And also, by the way, other Black women, sometimes you're going to walk past a Black woman who's not smiling. Don't do what men do. Don't assume because she didn't smile in your face and grin at you and, hey, girl, that she's not friendly. She's just on her path. And, I don't assume that every man that walks past me that doesn't speak to me, I ain't even say hi. So what? We have set this. I often find in our relationships, we set the bar of expectation and the standard on the floor for men, and we set it up in heaven for women. And it's like he could do a million things to you, call you everything but a child of God, and you'll find a way to accept and forgive. That sister didn't smile today, and it's a problem. See, we always got an attitude with one another. I don't have an expectation. Remove the unusual and weird expectations that when I see you, because I don't stop, dap you up, give you a 10-point pound, shake my ass, turn around, throw my hands in the air, that we got beef.
Yeah.
I might just be on my path, sis.
Yeah.
But if you would have stopped me and be like this, that, and the other, I was in a beauty supply store, and a little girl got her beads stuck in between where one of the shopping carts were. And I'm looking like, well, where's her mom at? Because, you don't want to just walk up to a child, or you're a stranger. And so I walked up, I said, where's your mom, sweetie? And she said, over there. I said, can I help you? Can I touch you? Because I ask kids, because they have body autonomy. And the little girl said, she, shook her head. And mom walked up as I was helping her get untangled. And she said, this girl always getting into something. And we stood there and just chatted.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, my experience with Black women, I'm sorry if other women are not having that. I would tell you, step outside your zone. go as hard with making those friends with other Black women as you will to make friends with white women. And I'm saying that again as someone who went to predominantly PWIs and accepted a lot of things that white girls did that you might say sisters do.
Mama Mika says back we should smile and speak. To that you say what?
I say we're not always in that mode. We're human. What you walk past me and you're not smiling, right?
Yep.
This would be my response to that. Hey sis. And if she does or doesn't speak back, I don't assign to her any greater you're a bitch than I would to anybody else. There are moments, if I want, you don't know who, somebody could have died in my family. Why are you putting the bar up there so high on something so small? It's momentary. Now, people walk, I grew up in New York City. People walk past you all the time and don't speak. If that was the judgment, and I got that when I moved here. Damn, y'all don't speak to nobody. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean I hate you.
Hey, John, Mama Mika said, I want you to respond to the last. I want you to make your comment, and then after you make your comment, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about what happened in Alabama, because I know folks want to talk about it, and we wanted to get through a lot of the show before that. And Uncle H, I had the same question about Jonte's comment. I meant to ask him about that. He's saying, explain the class difference between Starbucks and Popeyes. And Jonte says Black people across the board don't speak to each other like they used to. I somewhat agree with that, but I don't want to go down that path just because I was somewhere else. But there's something to be said for that. So Jonte and Uncle H, y'all continue that, and I'll put those comments up on the screen. John, Mama Mika says, can I just say that I love y'all? I see how you guys let the ladies speak and not interrupt.
They have their moments, but yes, for the most part, they are great. It's not the red pill podcast type of meal
we definitely have our moments, but I think that we've gotten better lately about allowing each other to speak.
When y'all do, you acknowledge it, and I give you full credit for that. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah,
thank you very
good job. John, I keep cutting you off because comments keep coming in. Well, I was just a producer on that show, flying in and out. So we'd have to, this is where I throw Big Bro Joe under the bus. Let's see. Cozy Creation says, I don't smile a lot. I have RBF. For those who don't know, that's resting bitch face, which I also suffer from. I got resting bitch face, and if you don't like it, that's a you problem. That is an absolute, just like Cozy Creation. If you don't like my face, don't look at it. However, I make it my business to speak to Black women friendliness. And then Sue says, I disagree. I'm not a person who doesn't smile, but I am generally in a great mood. I will speak and converse. She meant to say she doesn't smile. So, John, thanks for being patient. Jump in here. You make your final comment, because I will close it out and move us to the conversation that most of the folks who are listening want to hear us talk about, which is what happened. The Montgomery Brawl, which is next. So what you got?
I'll say this. There's I can't believe in 2023 that we are still dealing with these false narratives. Children, white children, equally for the most part experience single parenthood, or parents who are not married or who do not cohabitate. Surprisingly, single Black fathers are the most present in their children's lives among any other males in the country. Father not around, that was a small time, right? I can count the decade when fathers were missing, or the 2 decades when fathers went missing, because the white infrastructure made it very, 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 very likely that they would be missing. But when brothers had an opportunity to be around their children, they fought hard to be around their children. And of course, it's not all. Of course, there's always going to be people who mess up, right? But they say things like 1 in 5. Okay, 1 in 5. 1 in 5. That means 4 are doing the right thing. That one is jacked up, but don't get it twisted. It's not the other way around. It's not the majority of black women who are bickering amongst each other about nonsense and pulling hair. It's not the majority of black men who are not present in their families' lives. It's not the majority of black people who commit crimes and do drugs and all this other stuff, no more than any other race. But all of these negative things are piled on us, right, to keep us in the vision of poor white people as something that you're better than, you know. And then we turn back around and buy into it and start holding each other accountable, like Steph was saying, with a higher expectation. No, if you don't want to speak or smile, you shouldn't have to. Why? Because you black? I gotta be nice to you because you black? I gotta do, and it goes in with like, listen, I understand. I love, black business people and entrepreneurship and all of this. I wish I could say it like Steph said. Say entrepreneur, Steph. Say entrepreneur. Oh man, Steph say entrepreneur make you want to go just tingle all over when she say entrepreneur. Anyway, like I love that, right? But if your business suck, you're not getting my money. I'm going to the white guy next door or the Korean up the block. I'm not giving you my money if your business sucks. I don't care if you black, right? And again, that same I speak about it often. We gotta stop that in ourselves. We gotta be better because we black. You gotta be this because you black. You gotta be that because you don't you know you black? Yeah, I know. Me and the police know, right? But that don't mean I gotta do anything but stay black and die, as my mother used to tell me. Right? So all of these false narratives, we gotta learn to put them to bed, like black on black crime. How is no white on white crime, no Asian on Asian crime, no Polynesian on Polynesian crime. Why is it only black on black crime when all crime is committed within the community for the most part? Nobody goes outside their community to commit crime. So stop it. All of y'all, all of these things are basically evenly distributed. You know what? You know what black people do more? Survive. Because we have to. You know what black women do more? Open businesses and get degrees. Right? That's what we do more. All that negative shit is about equal. Right? We do a lot more of the positive shit. And y'all need to recognize that needs to be the new narrative.
You know, hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Folks, it's about that time for me to say my little corny thing. So y'all ready for me to say my little, can I say my thing? Can I say my part? Let us move on. So we're going to move on to the part that many of the folks who are watching and listening right now have been wanting to get to, and we've been wanting to get to it too. So we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a lot to get into. We could talk about the fun that many of our people are having with it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the journalist that I was trained to be. Thank you for sending me to Virginia Union University, moms and pops, and helping me get that journalism degree. So I'll be a grown-up before I have fun and clown like the rest of us on this topic. But I'm reading this next piece from the Washington Post. So the Washington Post says this past Saturday, around 7, Montgomery Police Department responded. I'm paraphrasing because I ain't reading all this shit. Responded to a disturbance. When police arrived, they responded, quote, they located a large group of subjects engaged in physical altercation. You think? While authorities have not confirmed the motive behind the fight, several videos posted to social media suggest that an argument between several white boaters and a black employee began when a pontoon boat had stopped at the riverfront, blocked the Harriet 2 riverboat from docking there. A witness posted a video saying that the white man aboard the pontoon boat had attacked the black man. The black man, who has not been publicly identified, is a dock worker at Riverfront Park, according to the news affiliate WSFA in Montgomery, an NBC affiliate. What does the video show? As the black employee was arguing with one of the men with the pontoon boat, another shirtless white man charges at the employee and hits him in the face. After the employee tosses his hat in the air, the fight escalates between he and the shirtless white boater, according to a clip shared by Josh Moon, a journalist with the Alabama Political Reporter. Seconds later, several other white shirtless men join the fray and begin hitting the black man as he's on the dock, according to the video. We seen that shit, so I ain't got to keep reading, but I'm going to. The audio from the videos posted in social media are only from the witness on the riverboat, one of whom could be heard yelling, "Y'all help that brother," end quote. Y'all like the inflection, right? You saw what I just did there, right? You saw what I just did there, right?
I needed that.
Some people from the shore,
Look at that boy swim.
yeah, man. Some people from the shore, both white and black, appeared to jump to defend the black man from assault. At one point in the video, someone is seen jumping off the riverboat and swimming to the dock to help the employee as the fight was winding down, much to the delight of the patrons on the river. First of all, the Washington Post is about as white as it get, and this is them, right? This from them. Yeah, this them, right?
They stepped it up a notch.
Get up there, young buck. The person jumped off the riverboat, only identified as 16-year-old named Aaron. A Ren, not Ron. Said A Ren. Oh yeah, Ren, not Ron. Yeah. And they swam to the dock to help the black man because that's, quote, what I was taught to do, end quote, according to a statement from a family publicist. As the initial incident concluded, separate videos show a group of shirtless black men confronting the white boaters who were on the pontoon boat on the dock. I remember that part. When they approached the boat, more fighting broke out between white and black people on the dock. The brawl lasted for more than a minute, with at least one person getting punched off the dock and into the water. One of the black men in the fight was seen hitting a white woman in the head with a chair. That was after he hit the white man in the head with the chair. That was after that. That's me, not Washington Post.
On his WWE.
Yeah, man. Police officers eventually showed up, breaking it up. Video went viral. Quote, and it's the last piece. I'm going to read this piece, and then we're going to move on and have some commentary. John, you up first. If you understand the history, and this is a quote. I don't know who it is. I'll get to it at the end of the quote. Oh, I see who it is. Never mind. I see who this is at the end of the quote. If you understand the history of Montgomery, one of the most prolific slave trading cities in the United States, turned brutally repressive apartheid regime after, and majority black people just got its first black mayor. It gives so much perspective to this video, wrote Hannah Jones, the New York Times Magazine journalist who won a Pulitzer Prize for her work on the 1619 Project, the same 1619 Project that many of the white folk that I have spoken to and who I have seen move in social media got so much trouble with because they call it bullshit, not their word, mine interpreting what they called it, but it is based in fact because a lot of the stuff that she talked about is already verifiable. All you got to do is look for the information. So before I get to John, I'm going to look through some of these comments here on social media, and then we're going to get to it. Jonte says nobody should be charged except the first group who jumped the employee. Let's see. Yeah, it's too much. Let me get through these, and then we'll comment on them. Mama Mika says after his daughter was hit, let me see. She said something before that. So boom, bap, bap.
Boom, bap is
boom,
back.
Bap, bap. Ouch, ouch. Nah. One more salutation I'm gonna get to before I get the rest of these comments. My sister Nikki Nick is checking us out. I'm so proud of you. Says she's an entrepreneur. She's doing wonderful things. Please, please, please put your information in the chat so that we can celebrate you because you a dope sister and more folks should know about you. She says, what's going on? Let's see. Crazy Creations got a bunch of memes. Cozy Creation got a bunch of memes that basically allude to laughing and tripping. group of black men skipping, is what she says.
Oh yeah.
Coach
They
Ship
skip
says
to the beef.
the whites should be charged with causing a riot situation, is what Coach says. So I think I got the comments in. So anyway, John, you got the con. You up first.
I waited a long time for this.
Okay, show enough.
I waited a long time for this.
Okay, show enough. You sick of the stories?
Let
About the
us understand what transpired, right? My man Damien, we call him Uncle D. Uncle D made a simple request. If any of y'all saw before it started, Uncle D went to them repeatedly. Yo, the boat, they're sitting the boat out there. The boat sat out there a good 15 minutes longer than it was supposed to because the other boat was in the way. People on the boat were shouting, run that boat over. We got to get to the dock, run the boat over. Uncle D untied their boat and moved it. That's what they really ain't like. He untied their boat and moved it himself. They came beefing with him about it, right? And he's like, look, I asked y'all to move it. Y'all wouldn't move it. I had to move it. It's my job because these people got to come in. They beefing. Before the first guy hit Uncle D, some dude tried a flying knee like he was really on some WWE-ish, right? You know how they in the corner and you go with the flying knee until he tried that, but he ain't really connect. Then the other dude come with the wild swing, and of course we know he threw up the black signal, which is spin the head back, take it out, and let it fly.
That's Bobby Shmurda.
Right? If y'all know, y'all know. Flatbush stand up. Anyway, and it happened. The next thing we know, my man, right, Brother Anonymous, comes from the upper level. Brother Anonymous comes in, and he's really not trying to fight, but he's trying to get them off of Uncle D. So they start swinging on Brother Anonymous. He starts swinging back. So it get a little even. The next thing we know, my man, Aaron, a.k.a. Stroke of Genius.
Michael B. Phelps.
Stroke of Genius. Because he was stroking.
Well, they called him
I be
Taekwondo
stroking.
Boxy.
That's what I be doing. Stroking to the east. I be stroking.
John is very excited about this.
Little bruh swam in his clothes and shoes. Listen, if y'all don't know, pulling yourself out of the water up into the dock is a feat of strength. Try it sometimes. He didn't have nothing to jump. Like in the pool, a lot of times people jump off the floor of the pool and pull them. Nah, he straight pulled up in wet clothes and shoes out of the water onto the dock. Stroke of genius. You my dude. Call you anytime in the fight. And somebody said he didn't do no fighting after. Yes, he did. Y'all have to watch the video to see further because he had on the blue shirt too. So he was among the blue shirts and he was getting some licks in. Now, when they was going to run into it, Uncle D fell. He was so excited that he had some help. He fell on the ground. They had to help Uncle D up. So the boat finally gets to the dock now, right? And these people were waiting like the line for the new Jordans. They was just waiting. And it was just one little chain. Chain was a 1/4-inch thick. This one little chain across the exit. The boat's on the dock, but there's one little chain. And they waited patiently for that chain to get moved. And one of Uncle D's partners, because he had on the white shirt too, he moved the chain. And then Google black men skipping. Because they skipped to the beef. Like you skip to the beat? No, they skipped to the beef and went in and proceeded to rock. And as they started fighting and doing all this stuff, we got introduced to my man. They put his name somewhere on social media, but they took it out. We'll just call him chairman of the board.
Yeah.
Chairman of the board started the party to swinging, right? I do not and I cannot condone him applying the violence to the woman on the ground who had just got Brooklyn stomped by them two women. I mean, they put the boots.
You're enjoying this right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You jump in here, stuff.
They put the boots to her on the ground like, while she was sitting there recovering, you could actually see the stars and birds like in the cartoon around her head. He came with
Come
the
on.
chair. He was just in a mood. Like he didn't even realize what he was. He had hit like 6 people with that chair. And she was just laying there like defenseless. And he cracked her so good that the other brother cop, the other brother cop had to take him down for that. Like, bro, you doing too much. Because the cops had let the fight go on for a while.
Jump in here, stuff.
Good.
Jump in,
I will say this. There obviously was the thing of there's a lot of feeling clearly attached to it. Hannah Nicole Jones makes that was a good quote.
I'm gonna get serious after that.
To acknowledge that there's a lot of underlying things here. This isn't just happening because these people want to condone or engage in violence. It's interesting. The Jason Aldean song, try that in a small town, and they tried it and they messed around and found out. And the fact is, watching it, the idea that they thought they could get away with beating that man in the first place, I don't even care what happened after that. The audacity to think you could assault this man en masse as a group. Have you been living in a space where nothing has happened to you so frequently that you didn't think that you thought you would get away with this? Because if they didn't think they would get away with it, they wouldn't have been taking their time at the boat when they went. After they did it, they were chilling. They didn't expect this grouping of people, which immediately tells you the environment those people are living in down there. The idea that 4 or 5 white men thought they could come and beat someone he's not just a dock worker, he's a dock worker for the city. He was giving them a directive and they thought they could get away with assaulting him. And they were comfortable with it. And they're local business owners. They weren't trying to hide who they were. They own a mini mart down there. So it's all of those things. It's the audacity. It's the belief that you could get away with it. It's the idea that after I do it, I don't need to run. I'm good. I think I was surprised by all of that. Like, you thought there would be no retribution. It just tells you the mindset of the individual that thought they could get away with that.
I remember when I watched that video. I saw it yesterday during the normal course of just thumbing through your feed. And I didn't know what I was looking at. I just was thumbing through my feed. And very quickly after that was when the three of us started our blog, where we were just kind of going back and forth and posting what we were posting. But when I saw it, I saw the video from the beginning without any context. I didn't have any context. The only thing that I saw was the conversation between the brother and the white man. I didn't know what was going on. I saw him throw his hat. I saw them attacking him. And then I saw other white people coming along. And as I'm watching this, the first thing that came to mind is, what the fuck is this? Because I'm getting angry. I'm getting really angry. And then I saw, like, you could see like mid-level here, the main situation. But the level above, you could see a brother running across the screen. And then the brother came around and came across. And that's the first one who jumped into the melee. So now I'm looking at it.
Anonymous.
Now I'm looking at it and I'm going, I'm still like confused. The video that I saw then had a spot shadow of the brother swimming with it with an arrow. I still don't have context of what's happening. So I'm like, what the hell is this man in the water? What is going on? And then I make the connection of what's going on. I still don't know the reason, but what I'm seeing now is what we all saw. This black man getting into it. I didn't know he was a security guard. I didn't know that he was in his capacity as an authority person there trying to regulate what was. I ain't know none of that. All I seen was this black dude getting jumped by these white folks, and I'm enraged because I'm seeing this black man get, and I'm like, why am I seeing? I'm mad. I'm getting mad. Then I see all the black folk coming. I was like, oh, this is that kind of video. And then it jumps after the brother gets out of the water. The video that I see jumps. It comes to a different angle where you see them coming towards you to the boat, and you seen the brother run up on the boat, and he just smacked the fire out this dude, and that's when it really jumps off. So let me just give a little bit of commentary as far as I see this. First of all, yeah, I'm about to be that dude. I ain't never gonna be all right with violence, just not. But you will fuck around and find out, and I'm all right with fucking around and finding out. If you come for me or mine, then I am no longer going to be responsible for what happens to you, because you started it when you were a kid and you were on the playground and somebody put their hands on you. An elder very often is going to tell you, don't start no fire. But if they hit you, hit them back. Malcolm X said, be peaceful, live your life under the law, and be kind. But if they put their hands on you, send them to the cemetery. That's what he said. And that's what it is. And, for those folks who were involved, I was thinking about the civil rights era as I'm watching this, because the people who were the head folks in the civil rights era, the black people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Abernathy, the others, and the names are escaping me, but y'all know the era I'm talking about. All of them knew that they was going to jail. Dick Gregory, they knew they was going to jail. They knew when they got out of the bed that morning to go to wherever they was going, they knew that they was going to sleep in jail that night. These folks ain't know. What these folks knew was, yo, you got these white folks that's coming for a brother. We got to come together. And that I loved. I loved seeing that. I'm never going to endorse violence. I'm never going to be okay with that. But this right here, I will be the hypocrite and say I was good with that, because we saw where it was going. We saw where it was going. And the two of y'all alluded to the privilege that you must have when you are dealing with someone. See, I didn't have context when I was watching the video, but that white man who was talking to that man knew exactly who he was talking to. He knew the context of who he was talking to, and he knew why he was talking to him. And he was like, man, fuck you. He was like, man, fuck, man.
So
I'm not finished. Man, I ain't thinking about what you saying to me right now. You want me to move? I'll move it when I'm ready. Matter of fact, smack. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. The arrogance and colossal gall that you must have to think that it's okay to throw hands at a security guard that's asking you to move your shit when you wrong. You already wrong. So them folks got to go to jail, catch a charge. Hey, look, man, that part, it is what it is, right? You smack somebody with a chair, you got to deal with that. You got to deal with that. I'm not okay with smacking somebody with a chair who's already down on the ground. We can laugh. We can laugh. We can do all the things that we do. There is no more creative community than our people, because we got t-shirts already, and we got the funniest memes I think I ever seen. And yeah, I'm laughing at all of that. You know what I'm saying? But there are some images in this that are troubling for me. And one of them is someone taking a chair to somebody that's already down. I'm not good with that. Not good with that.
Unless it's WWE,
which is scripted.
Right.
So, and they don't, and they don't do chair shots as regularly in WWE anymore. Don't ask me, because I watch every pay-per-view. I know why, because chair shots are dangerous and you can hurt somebody. That's why they don't do chair shots. So, she deserved it. I didn't see her throwing punches at that man when it started. So I'm not defending her. I'm not that guy. I'll come for me if you want to, but I'm not doing that. All I'm saying is, when somebody's down on the ground, taking a chair to them is not all right with me. But the rest of the melee, them folks, hey, look, man, y'all started it. It is what it is. Let's get it. John, jump in here.
Before I get serious, because I'm gonna get serious on this, I want to give a shout out to the to the women involved, both sides, because they were not shy about throwing them bows. The white women, when they saw their men was losing, they came to help. And when the black women saw the white women was helping, they was like, we gonna help too.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that was an equal opportunity brawl. And I say that we're moving as a society
The words.
into equality. But I'm gonna get serious. Give me a second.
Yeah, get it out of the system.
He really needs
I'm gonna
it,
get
too.
serious.
I'm not upset with him. I do need him to
There's
get it together though.
But that was funny. That part was
It
funny.
was.
Somebody help me out because I might be wrong on this.
Which one?
Isn't
What you
there a
mean,
bridge
bro?
in that town?
Oh, you talking about the Bettis?
The Pettis.
There's a
Pettisville?
bridge in that town.
Edwin Pettisville?
There's a bridge in that town.
You talking about the bridge that they beat the hell out of John Lewis on?
And
That's
John
right.
John Lewis asked the man, "Could we pray?" I said, "I ain't praying with you. Not praying with you, you N-word." And they started beating men, women, and I don't think no kids, but young folks, old and young, beating them. And they took that beating. I ain't seen not one swing back. So, as we waited 60-odd years, right? 60-odd years or so. Yeah, we swing back now, y'all. We swing back now. We ain't got no problem with it. Because we know what we know now. We know that most of the cops that was showing up was going to be black. We also know that when we go to the jail to get locked up, a good number of the correction officers is black too. Right? And we also know that y'all going to jail too, so we could pick this up in the yard if you want to. Right? So that old tent, like Donald Trump had just made an appearance. And it was like remember the old Eddie Murphy thing that said, oh, they so Rocky. Give me the juju bees, the popcorn, and yeah.
The brother over here is gonna pay for it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all had a moment.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all had orange fever. And really thought y'all saw the whole boat because Uncle D pointed to it. He said that boat over there needs to park here. Y'all really thought that y'all was gonna beat Uncle D down and a whole boat of black people wasn't good? You got a pontoon that could fit in this room, and they got a 3-deck, 2 above, 1 below deck of a paddle boat rolling in full of black folks. And y'all thought that was gonna be a height? Like the privilege, the idea of the privilege. Again, I'll say it one more time. White people suffer from racism too. Right? The problem is y'all think that the white is going to protect you because the man said it, but that man ain't your friend. That rich white man is not your friend. He just wants you to think that you got it good so you don't realize how bad he's sticking it to you, dummy. And I remember the thing we talked about, the Oscars, right? And when the 2 brothers came out, I said, when they said hi to her, that was, is it on? Because if you say it's on in here, and we will tear this whole. If she would have had a hat and spun it around and threw it up, they would have tore that whole place down. For auntie. Y'all better realize shit done changed. Today's price is not yesterday's price.
We are not our grandparents.
Right? It is not. We are armed.
And let's not act like all the ancestors was down.
No. But they want to, again, they put all the civil rights pictures in black and white, even those that were taken in color, right? Because they want y'all to think that was so long ago. And they show you all the people in arms, kumbaya, my lord, with the white people and all that shit. But they don't show you deacons for defense, right? And they don't show you the original, like the Black Panther movie they pulled out. And I'm not talking about Wakanda Forever. I'm talking about Oakland, California. Right? So they don't show you that. And the idea of Bloods and Cuz was to combat police brutality and white supremacy in the area. So that was formed, those notorious street gangs, now to protect the communities. Crips, California Revolution in Progress. For y'all to understand that. That's what a Crip is. Right? And all of that was in response. So we go back 50 years on that, 60 years on the bridge. It's 2023. We're very armed. We're very dangerous. And we with the shit.
Jump in here, Steph.
And someone texted me to say something I want to say while I have the con, as you say. Do not sleep on what the ancestors were doing. And when I say ancestors, it wasn't that long ago. So I say the elders, because you have Move out of Philadelphia, you have the Black Panthers, and the only thing that has happened is, to some degree, the later generations have gotten complacent. You're not doing the things they knew in the 50s and 60s. They knew they were going to show up. Oh, these Negroes gonna march again. Oh, these Negroes gonna come. And don't get it twisted. Back then, more Black people were legal gun owners. More Black people were gun owners back then.
Fuck around and find out.
And so what's happened is we have gotten comfortable and complacent in the space and time that we live in, because there have been a lot of times I've seen things where we've given a Karen grace that she didn't deserve, or things have happened. I mean, let's be real. Back in the day, if George Floyd had a knee on his neck, some of those elders there would have been physical interaction with the police. Back then, they engaged with police violence much more head on than we do. We're afraid. We're so comfortable. So we don't typically want to do it. And I think this was one of the reasons this video resonates, because you don't see this as consistently. You don't see it. And you do have an environment right now where there's a sense of emboldenment, to John's point, based on the political climate prior to the current administration, of where there is this newfounded belief, where we'll get with you too. That's why you also see white women jumping in it. Because Rebecca Jean from the 80s knew better. She wouldn't have done it. This current environment has emboldened people in a way. And part of it is there's this belief that we don't build as a community. We don't move. I say often on the show, and I have said many times, that while we're not a monolith, we would benefit from monolithic thinking at some points in time. And what you saw was a monolith. You saw what happens when power unites and they're all of one mind and one thinking. Now, do I think that violence is a resolution for everything? No, but I certainly think it was the answer in this moment. I don't think anything else would have set the standard. I think what they learned that day is, okay, they really are in punchback mode, because we've been real chill. If you really, we out here, shopping where they shop and living where they live and being middle class, and if we're lucky. And we are not a community. I was talking to somebody about it earlier, and he was like, nah, I don't think Black people would just let somebody jump. We watch Black people get killed, lynched. We watch trauma porn all the time.
George Floyd.
We watch Black people die on film, and eventually it'll be microfiche or whatever they're going to store it in. We watch it all the time. This was a different moment. And I do think there is a different level, having lived both South and North, and way deeper, truly South, this is the Mid-Atlantic, but truly having lived as far down as Florida, which, say what you want, they're showing you right now, all the years I lived down there, people was like, they never called it the South. They're showing you right now, that's the South, baby. That's as far south in mindset and everything as you're going to go. You might be able to get rid of certain things in Tampa and Orlando, but don't even commit yourself there, because that is right outside of Tampa is where we had the first lynching of a young man whose mother is marching to this day. And so my point is, don't let this video fool you. We've been too complacent. This is why they're so bold. So the question is just this one moment where we get our, social media hits and we get to laugh and joke about it? Or is this a moment of revelation of where we as a people need to unite more frequently when we see things like this? Because I've seen videos of, here we go. Brother got choked out on the train in New York City. Plenty of Black people were on that train and watched this brother get choked out. Nobody put a Timberland to that man's head.
They watched
choking
him
this man out.
right in front of you.
He's choking this man out.
He's
You
died
saw his eyes closed.
right in
You
front
saw
of you.
him leaving. So I hate to be the real Virgo in the room and put a little fire on the fun, but where there's smoke, there typically is fire, right? And the smoke is, we got smoke for them in this video, yeah. But the problem is they think this is okay. They're telling us Negroes that they did not think that we would connect. My brother, my friend earlier said, them brothers were like Voltron.
Yeah.
They came together. And this is what I hope we learn from that video, that there is an entire contingency of America that is so emboldened, and they have come together and turned over so many of your rights. They don't believe you're strong in any sense. So you got this moment, but let's see it continue beyond this physical engagement. Shut them down in other ways so they don't even think they can be bold enough to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have gone in Rosewood and stomped down a whole, you would have had to burn that town down. These people did fight back. The problem is we're shocked because we haven't seen it as frequently, because usually what we see is us fighting one another because that's what sells, or we're watching them with a knee on our necks and we're doing nothing about it.
Yeah,
and burning and marching after.
That's the you might have had the comment of the night. I want to, most of the comments, and they've been coming in so fast that I just been putting them on the screen and not reading them, just simply because we just can't read them all. And so we thank you. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep putting them on the screen and making sure that you are heard. Some folks, it comes up as Facebook user, but I know who you are. There's one of our feeds that doesn't put your name up, but we see you and we know you are. Having said that, there is a comment from our brother Jonte that I want to read, and then I will respond to as I make my own remarks. But Jonte says, makes you wonder if Florida teaches slavery again for the purpose of rocking the children back to sleep. We discussed and debated in our production meetings if we were going to talk about Donald Trump tonight, because there's plenty to talk about with him. And we had planned to, but for the purposes of the time, we ain't going to get to it with him and the bullshit that he on now, and how he's calling people crazy names for, charging him with things that he actually did that we see him do. And then you have his own followers who go on television and say things like they can indict him 100 times and I'm going to still vote for him. Mama Mika seems to think that he's our next president. I said when he was elected that he was the smartest person in the race. I was right, because he was smart enough to win. I caught smoke from my own people and my own family who thought I was crazy for using the terminology smart. Yeah, you may not want to use that term when you're talking about Donald Trump, but he is. He know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the fact that he's being indicted ain't doing nothing but building his credibility as candidate, as crazy
Street cred
as that may sound. But having said all of that, you are seeing these people try to turn the clocks back, right? We talking about what's going on in Florida and how the governor there, who is also running for president, is trying to make it so that we can't teach the truth about what actually happened in history, because you don't want to taint how white folks have performed in our history for your children. So you can't say the N-word based on those Texas textbooks anymore. You want to change up how Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn were written, and you want to pull those words out. I don't like the word. I don't use the word. When I'm listening to NWA to this day, I replace every time they say the N-word, I say brother. Ask me if you disagree, if you don't know. Been in the car with me, that's how I move. It's real shit. I'll say shit and fuck, but I ain't saying the N-word. Just not. Why? Because I'm not going to disrespect my people and say, oh, it's a term of endearment. We're taking the word back. Bullshit. It's bullshit. The last word that many of our people ever heard in their life was that word. And I will honor them by not saying it. Having said all of that, when I watch this video, man, I'm telling you, I'm empowered. Why am I empowered? Marcus J, why are you empowered by seeing all that kind of violence? You know why I'm empowered? I'm empowered because I actually seen us come together for something. Now, it may have been coming together for something crazy, a brawl, a fight. And if black folk for anything, they for a fight. We like to fight. And usually we fighting each other, which is a whole conversation that we need to have separate from this one. But I always say on this show, what frustrates me about our people is that we have an innate, natural, born, bred, socialized fear of white people. And I don't care who you are, and I'm not going to argue and debate you about it. I'll be 50 years old on my next birthday. I've been around this planet long enough to know what I know, to see what I've seen, because I move the way I move and I see us move. And I know we scared of white people as a people, not as an individual, clearly not as individuals in that video. But when I saw them come together because they seen 5 white people jumping on a brother, my white friends just gonna have to feel a way about me. And a lot of them don't speak to me anyway because they didn't realize how black I am for real. Social media revealed that. There's plenty of them don't talk to me no more. Marcus, I'm surprised at you. I'm so surprised at you. Don't be. Look at my shirt. Look at my shirt today, y'all. Y'all think it was an accident that I wore this? Y'all know what AF means? Y'all know what AF means. I did this on purpose. I get so tired of these videos and these situations where we have to always be on edge. We was on edge watching that. We laugh and we joke and we kiki and ha-ha, and as some folks say, but that's not a funny video. It's not. It's nothing funny about that. It's not. And Steph, you talked about the Aldean video. Me and Mrs. J watched that video a few weeks ago, right? Or however long ago when the news first broke, 2 weeks, whenever it was, right? And we watched it and we was like, you know, the lyrics to the song, I ain't tripping off of that. Black folks, we said worse about them than that song. And then the video with, you know, it being where it was in the imagery with the BLM, you know, images and all that kind of stuff, even that didn't really move me. Like, you know, there are those who, oh, you wasn't tripping on the video. No, I wasn't tripping on the video. But now that I see it take its full spectrum view and understanding it, I'm savvy. Trust me, I got it. Just that video didn't move me. But big picture now, it's like, yo, they really feel like they can do certain things. And yeah, it's not all white people. And like Steph, you said earlier, we're not doing qualifiers. I should probably stop doing that, you know, because I've always been very clear on the difference between white people and white supremacy.
Exactly.
White supremacy is the system that we all live in, and we are all socialized to move in white supremacy. That's why
and the white
someone,
people I know, no hurt dogs don't howl.
yeah,
You
right.
know, hurt dogs holler. They don't care.
That's why
you
we
know?
can look at white people who support Donald Trump, who can look at what happened on January 6th and look you square in the eye and say it's not that serious. Like, these are the white folks that we don't fuck with. Like, we know y'all. We grew up with y'all. Y'all the same people that's got a problem with the statues coming down. You know what I'm saying? Y'all the same people that want to celebrate Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy, as we sit in the lap of it here in Richmond, Virginia. This was the capital. So it may not be the Deep South, but this was the capital of all that bullshit.
The Confederacy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I see that video, I'm just, I'm not all right with the violence. I'm not all right with any of that. But what I am all right with is black people seeing somebody come for them, and we came together and said, not today, not on my watch. Not, hey, look, black folks, 3 out of 10 black people could swim. It's a stat. Look it up. Not going further on that. 3 out of 10 black people could swim. But we seen somebody jump in the water at their own peril.
Off a boat.
To be like, nah, not today.
And he was a kid. 16.
We find out now he was 16 years old. So hey, look, I said it before. I'm not all right with the violence and the imageries and all of that kind of stuff. And oh, Marcus J, you changed now. You got the crystals in you're the whole piece of love. Yeah, I'm all that shit. But I'm also a Gemini. And I will flip a table. just like they flip tables in Alabama, and I'm good with it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. We got time for one more. I want to add this, Steph. I want to hold on to that one.
Okay.
There's one that I think is a little bit more appropriate to tonight's conversation. Another one that you suggested to us, and this is where we talk about Gen X and our position in our country. So let's talk a little bit about what our role and responsibility as Gen Xers right now. I'm a Gen Xer. You're a Gen Xer. John's sort of kind of a Gen Xer. He's on the borderline.
No. I ain't that. I'm a Gen Xer. I just was raised as a boomer.
Yeah,
because I'm the
no.
youngest of many children.
That's me
so.
taking my shot. But
No, but that's a fact. Though.
Yeah,
I was raised. I have
where Mika out?
Yeah,
I have the sensibilities of a boomer, but I'm definitely Gen X.
Having said that,
65 to 80. That's what we're going to use as, based on the Pew Research, we're going to say 65 to 80.
65 to 80% of us.
No, 1965.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's what we're going to use as the qualifier.
1965 to 1980. All right. Sorry about it. I got distracted doing something else. Thank you very much for bringing me back. So let's throw this in here. The conversation on the Brawl is still obviously on the table, but it's your topic. I want you to lead us on this. If you can connect it to what we saw, so be it. But if you can't, that's fine. I do want to talk about our position as Gen Xers, our role, and how this all plays out. What you got, Steph? Add that to the conversation.
So the reason that I brought it up, earlier was I'd seen quite a few videos lately. The trend initially was Gen Z and millennials were jumping on baby boomers. Baby boomers ruined the world. And I'm not saying, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with this, but they're like, we're in the financial positions we are as a country because of baby boomers and the silent generation. They created the financial positions we're in. They are all living in a certain space and have, had rampant capitalism and left the country in shambles for everyone else. Now, do they have an argument? Majority of your primary leaders are silent generation or baby boomers. There's a lot of silent generation people there. So when you think about Maxine Waters, Mitch McConnell, Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, and then they said that a huge amount of baby boomers, Gen X, are not even reflected in politics as far as sitting politicians. And their assumption based on that is that Gen X is not doing the work, is not contributing, is not engaging in the current fight, and so on and so forth. Now, when I saw that video, I saw a few people who were, they weren't spring chickens trying to get in there. One unk with the white jeans on trying to literally do a WWE eye poke on someone. I mean, there was a lot of representation there. That's as far as I'll go with that. What it made me think about is, has Gen X spoken out enough? Have we been more complicit in saying, I'm done with this? I'm going to go and make my own way, start my own business, get out of the fray and not deal with these individuals. Have we separated ourselves too much from what's happening currently because of that reflection in politics, where Gen X is the smallest legislating body of the three older generations? And if so, how does that impact negatively what's going on right now? How does Generation X, or how could Generation X differently impact what's going on? So again, if 1965 to 1980 is a pretty significantly low representation in both Congress and Senate. So we're not making the laws for the most part. We're not the primary lawmakers. We certainly are not the primary judicial representation or reflection. And so now that the millennials have turned their sights on us, saying, we don't think they've gone through anything or are doing anything. They're too quiet. By the way, also Gen X, the smallest generations of all living generations. Yes. Yeah. The smallest number wise. Also reflected in how media does not speak to you. Media does not do stories about Gen X specifically because we are a smaller generation and therefore in their eyes, it's not the largest viewing audience where they drive money, revenue, outrage, fear. Gen X is also very disconnected from the BS in the sense that a lot of Gen X is it was one of the largest self-employed generations. So have we removed ourselves from the foolery or are we working in different ways?
I'm gonna try to break this down for y'all, right? Gen X is a special because we survived heroin and crack.
You had ways say heroin.
We did.
That's the old man way to say it.
Only baby boomers and Gen Xers even call it heroin. Millennials don't know that term.
now the millennials know fentanyl.
Yeah.
No. Look. We survived it. We survived it on the hat trick victimization, right? Because we got victimized because it robbed us of our family. We got victimized because it was addictive and promoted and fostered within our communities. And we got victimized because we were criminalized for even participating in any way, shape, or form with all of those drugs, with both of those drugs. We survived both of that. We survived Iran-Contra, Vietnam, and Desert Storm. We survived Reaganomics.
2 Desert Storms.
Right. Right, too. We survived Reaganomics and 9/11. We survived
the full introduction of crack into the community.
Right. So we survived all that. So we different. We survived, and we survived it without a computer in our pocket or a true functional internet. Right. And we made a difference. The problem with Gen X's is we had an issue with our children, and what it was we vowed that they would not suffer how we did. And we gave them every opportunity and we overprotected, right? I remember walking to school by myself at 6 years old. I remember having a key to get into my house and have responsibility of the key getting into my house at 9. I remember having a job from the time I was 12 to buy my own stuff.
14 for me.
Right. So yeah, my first jobs were off the books. But I got an on the books job at 14, best believe it. Right. So all of these things built us different. And the problem is, Marcus and I was speaking, earlier before the show started. We're not always as empathetic as we need to be with people, and especially with our children, because we don't understand what the hell y'all talking about. Problem where? Problem what? Oh my God, I don't have service. And I'm one of the few people I know. I will walk out my house, get in my car, go somewhere, and realize that I left my phone home and not turn around.
What?
I don't give.
I just got to that point.
I don't give a fuck.
I literally recently just got there.
I'm going
look,
back.
if it ring, it ring. But listen,
I'm not going
God praise you, beautiful black woman.
Yeah,
I understand you with that.
Not going back.
But I ain't going at 55. The double nickel hit me or miss me, but I ain't running back for the phone. I'm just not, because I got cash in my pocket, credit cards got space, and the car's good. So I'm going. I don't really care about the phone. I get back when I get back. That's why when I go outside, I travel with my passport in my pocket because I might want to get on a plane.
Can't say I'm there, but I understood.
Right. But my point is being this is Gen X. This is Gen X. Listen, and back to that thing. We will talk, we will debate, and there's something else me and Marcus spoke about earlier. We'll talk, we'll debate. But when it gets to the point where the talk, look, we ain't gonna talk no more. Either I'm gonna leave, you're gonna leave, or we're gonna fight. We're not gonna keep talking. I'm not gonna repeat. I'm not a person that's in the mode of repeating themselves. right? So I done said what I had to say. If you didn't figure it out, you're gonna fuck around and find out. That's the Gen X's. Have we separated ourselves? No, I think society has separated itself, and no, we're not with the bullshit. And that's why they don't plug it to us. They don't try to sell us that shit because we not with that shit, right? They don't try to sell us the retelling of slavery and yet we participate in politics. What Cory Booker, Gen Xer. What's my other man?
We're the lowest right now.
But we the
one of
lowest in
lower
number. So think about perspective and percentage wise of the number.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
We got Cory Booker, we got the other brother, the senator, we got great. Listen,
several members of the squad.
There's a high number of women, black women who are judges, not on the federal level, but on the local levels. There's more black women judges than it's ever been. So we really need to and doctors, lawyers, professionals. We killing Gen X's is killing it. Right now, the problem I got, I'm sorry, Marcus, I'm gonna try to wrap this up. The problem I really got, I'm gonna try.
You see me though. They see me.
I got
too.
this one last part. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I got this one last part.
I'm not to embarrass you, but come on.
I got this one last part. And this is some other. This is some.
Go
other,
ahead, bro.
This
go
is some
ahead,
other
bro.
stuff me and Marcus talk about.
Go ahead, man.
Yo, I don't have the energy no more. If I had the energy I had 30 years ago, 25, even 20 years ago, and access to the resources that you ungrateful motherfuckers have right now, do you understand the kind of moves I would be making? I don't understand what's wrong with y'all. Y'all always constantly complaining, and you got the whole world at your fingertips. Get out, get something, please.
While I wanted to wrap him up to move on, I co-sign and endorse literally everything that you just said. So, but I will stick my tongue firmly. Well, not everything, but that last piece for the most part, in spirit, I'm with you. Like, let me make this comment and throw this love here, and then I'll throw the shade at the young folks, like I was about to do. But we got an elder, Uncle H, that said, "Don't you need your phone for AAA?" Leave it to an elder. Leave it to an elder to check us. I understand the points that John is making, because while mama she's 20, so she's even younger than the millennials that we speak with, and the older millennials. I heard you mention our legal earlier. We joke all the time, and I won't say her age, 1981, and I don't care. I don't care.
The sisters are gonna unite.
If you didn't say yours, I would throw you out there too.
Me to pinch him, just
go ahead.
Go
ahead, pinch him. Ow! She got me good for you. I really don't. I want to say 1981 again, but the thing is, the early, but I would joke all the time about the millennials. Like, anybody born after like December 31st, 1979, I thought all y'all was crazy. If you was born after December 31st, 1970, I thought all y'all was crazy. Now, as I've gotten older, the closer the age to the Gen Xers, maybe not quite so much. And again, that's my tongue firmly in my cheek. But, I hear the stuff about us, and I'm not one that is as versed on the statistics as perhaps maybe my friends and counterparts would be. I just know what I know because I know what I live. And we are an awesome generation in the sense that we are a hybrid of being able to have knowledge of how the world was before and how it was difficult, how you had to walk up to the TV to turn the channel, and how you didn't have the world in your pocket, and how we had an 8-track, so you had to be creative with making sure you heard your song. You couldn't just press the button and go right to it. And even to come to the cassette world, you still had to fast forward and stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. And that's just listening to music. And that's me clowning to make the point of things were just a little bit more challenging for those of us. I was a latchkey kid. Just like y'all, I got off the bus at 6 years old, and Go in the house, get your snack. Don't answer the door for nobody. Anybody come in here got a key. They're not coming here unless they got a key. So you good. Just don't open the door. You know what I'm saying? So we were raised different. We were the ones that got on the bicycle at the crack of dawn and didn't show up until the street lights came on. Now, because we was home by the street light, you know, but we were empowered to just go on out there and explore the world because the world wasn't quite as crazy as it is now. You couldn't send your kid outside. Now, I remember 1979 when Etain Pates got snatched, and not long after that when Adam Walsh got murdered during the same time as the Aladdin child murders, 500 miles from where I grew up in Jersey City. Mom Dukes was like, oh, yeah, you coming in the house off of that big wheel. Why? Because things is different now. So we saw, as Gen Xers, society change and how just our social consciousness shifted. Now, technology shifted. Like, we had the kind of strides that happened in our life that I don't know that the millennials and Gen Z experienced, because by the time they came along, the world was already kind of set up for them in that way. Now, that's not to discount the challenges. I know that y'all had some challenges. No shade for y'all, but we went through some shit that y'all didn't. And every generation goes through some shit that the subsequent generation didn't. My father will always tell me, I want more for you than what I had. I say to my daughter, I want more for you than what I had. And so I'm proud of my generation. I'm proud to know that I'm part of the original generation of hip hop. I'm proud to know that, you know, I'm part of a generation that had to work a little bit harder than the generation that came behind us. So I'm not all right with the shade. The representation, like I said, you guys might be a little bit better with the statistics and all of that kind of stuff than perhaps I would be. But it's a good time to be alive. It's a good time to be middle-aged because we still young enough to fuck you up if we have to. We are. Try it. Like, we seen the meme. and we tired, but we still young. You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud of Gen Z. You know, I don't Gen X. I can't even. I don't even because I'm old and I forget. Because yeah,
you know,
Gen X. I almost said Z again.
I have one kid.
As you would probably wear the Gen X hat.
Yeah. Well, that's not why the X. That's not why the X is there.
I have
yeah.
I
said fuck a lot
last
tonight,
year.
didn't I?
No, you didn't. You really didn't.
He said it more
Maybe
last
I'm
week.
just sensitized.
I did. Yeah. Sorry, Steph.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I still got my clothes enough.
I have
there is
Here
time.
it comes in the runs. I have one kid that is the last year of millennial, and another kid that's the first year of Gen Z. They're 18 months apart in age, and I can see a lot of times with Gen Z, there is a willingness to confront and fight as much as I saw in Gen Xers who are a little bit older than me, the ones who were young teenagers in the 80s. And they were, you know, fighting against not just local issues, but national issues. I wouldn't have known as much about apartheid if it wasn't for the fact that young Gen Xers were shocked and appalled by it, you know, and they may not have had the wherewithal, the financial revenue and things like that to go to Africa and fight it. But right here, they were mad. If you look at the MTV generation, Johannesburg. If you look at the I like that, John. What's the word? Johannesburg. If you look at the MTV generation, which is Gen X, you look at the MTV generation, you're going to find activism laced throughout it, whether it was apartheid, whether it was the influx and infiltration of crack cocaine into the community, because mind you, it worked its way through some of our parents' age group. And it was us as teenagers who were angered by it. You know, you look at Sister Soldier, she's Gen X. I remember when Sister Soldier was speaking out and people older than me, I clearly remember being in a room full of people who would have been considered baby boomers who thought she was a rabble rouser, who thought she was a troublemaker, who thought she was a big mouth. And nothing she said was wrong then or today. It all still applies. You know, Gen X was proactive, also had to experience, you know, I remember, or I have seen news clips from the 60s and 70s. News in New York would show bloody bodies on the ground from you know, a mob hit in Canarsie to other things. Then you started getting into the 80s where Gen X's were, and that's when censorship started. So what did we get introduced to? The label warning on albums. Who were they predominantly targeting? Black artists, Black creatives, Black hip hop artists specifically. So, you know, Gen X has been both undermanaged in the sense of being left to our own devices significantly. It was like the smallest generation, the largest latchkey generation. So undermanaged, but also overgoverned when it came to the government starting to step in and limit us. Gen X has been fighting. The difference is we also were willing to step away. And I see that a lot in Gen Z, where they are more proactive about, okay, you want to fight, let's fight. I'm okay with that. Now, do they, you know, most of Gen Z still doesn't have their frontal lobe. My daughter is 25, still developing, right? So we're not going to see the very best of them right this moment. But I often tell people, mark my words, give it 10 years, Gen Z will be the lighter reflection of what Gen X was. Consistently willing to open their mouths, ready to fight, willing to push back, not just on people they don't know, but parents, which Gen X was one of the first generations to have a en masse rejection of the generation before them. I think that was one of the biggest differences. Yes, there was the hippie movement and all those people who were kind of trying to push against the machine and reject society and so on. But Gen X is one of the largest. It's also why you see a large part of Gen X is self-employed. They rejected the system at greater amounts. If you both remember, Gen X was called what? The unknowns. They're lazy.
That's where we got the term
X.
X.
They don't do anything.
That's where we got the term.
They called us Gen X.
You know, it's funny. I don't remember there being terminology for generations until we came along and they started calling us Generation X.
And everybody before that, it's the silent generation, the greatest generation, the baby boomers. And then it's like Gen X. So I often tell younger people when I'm speaking to them, I'm like, do you think they call us Gen X because they loved us?
They didn't.
I went to work.
What does X mean?
They called us unknown. We don't know what these people are going to be like. You know, my first corporate position, I was 19 years old when I went into corporate America. I was recruited by someone who saw me in a college classroom. And I went to work for them, and everyone in there would be classified as a baby boomer. They were not welcoming. They did not want to teach me anything. It was, oh, you so smart, you get it yourself. Now, skip right over Gen X. If you bring millennials or Gen Z into a corporate environment, there's someone their mother's age or someone their big sister's age who was like, oh, they're so smart, they use computers, and they are getting more of a pathway in than they realize. Gen X wasn't being given a welcome into the room. Gen X was seen as a disruption to the future of my job. Many Gen Xers were still middle management for a long time because the people right before us didn't want to promote us. They were protecting their jobs. I know millennials now that have had job promotions that Gen X's never saw. So don't dismiss what you don't understand or haven't experienced. And I say the same thing for those of us looking at baby boomers and the silent generation, although I truly do believe that Gen Z is very right in their perception that a lot of what we're experiencing right now, if you think about Mitch McConnell, Mr. Frozen in the headlights.
Yeah, that was tough.
He's from the silent generation. If you think about Kevin McCartney and some of those other ones, they are baby boomers. they are significantly impairing a quality of life in the United States of America. They are significantly impairing it. And so
For some.
say again?
For some.
For some. But I'm a woman, so immediately when I say
they
that,
winning for them.
I'm thinking about the fact that now, as a woman who has a daughter, I have to worry about things like abortion. Health rights are huge to me. So again, I think Gen Z has some of that right. But I think when they look at Gen X, they just don't know enough about us because we're not the media focus.
Yeah, you know, we live in a country right now. The leadership is definitely in the hands of the elder generation that, with all due respect, ain't gonna be here. Like, our president is in his 80s, and the front runner in the other party who's running against him, if he were to win, would be in his 80s, very early in the administration. And we could talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump all we want, and at this hour, half past our third hour, we're not going to do that. We've done it before. We'll certainly do it again. But if we're talking about Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, young folks, at this point, I would be happy with any of them leading because they can see the future. They're going to be here for it. And I that sounds harsh. I don't mean it to sound harsh, but it's biological and it's some real talk. The reality is, at 77 years old, even if the world loved Donald Trump, he's going to be dead in 20 years. Joe Biden is going to be dead in 20 years. And I don't mean that to sound harsh, and hopefully they both live forever. I'm not somebody who, even if I don't like, and I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. Y'all all tripping off of Donald Trump and his bullshit now. But 10 years ago, when those of us from the tri-state area tried to tell y'all that this dude was an albatross, we knew he was, and y'all still wanted to, well, you know, he was in the hip-hop videos with Jay-Z and them, maybe he ain't so bad. Fuck that. He's bad. We try to tell you. But the point is, even him, I don't want to see him dead. I'm not built that way. I'm not built for wanting to see somebody dead unless you kill somebody, or unless you rape somebody, or unless you harmed a child or an elder. Those are the things that I want to see you dead for. Being an asshole don't count. Just don't. Not for me. Having said all of that, we are 40s and 50s. And 40s and 50s is the money shot for leadership with regards to public office, in my opinion. Because you got a frontal lobe. You've had it for half your life. And you've been around long enough. Hopefully you ain't stupid. You might be, but hopefully you ain't. You lived long enough for you to see enough, for you to have some common sense where you can apply it to the law, and hopefully the people that you are tasked with leading, because they voted for you, you don't embarrass them and yourself and your mama. So there's that. Ain't no Ask Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. Let us move on to the final vestiges of the show, where we do our rants, where we do our closes. I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight with the moment in Black history. What I want to do with the moment in Black history is, instead of going to the book of facts like I normally go to, I'm going to take y'all to where you've been. Where have you been? You have been talking about the person who invented the chair, the folding chair, Nathaniel Alexander. And let me just first say, those of you who are still with us, you can see it on the screen. I posted this earlier today. I love us, y'all. I really do. But we need to fact check some of this stuff sometimes, because the picture that y'all putting out for the brother Nathaniel Alexander is a picture of Lewis Latimer. So I know that there are those who believe that we all look alike, but this ain't who y'all trying to celebrate and promote. I love us.
You should, though. We should be celebrating.
I love us. I love the fact that we want to celebrate the fact that the man invented the folding chair, which he didn't. He invented an enhancement to the folding chair. But come on, y'all. This one wasn't hard. Yeah, this one wasn't hard. Now, I will say this. Shout out to my sister Keisha, who went to St. Anthony High School in Jersey City, just like I did. She commented on the same post, and she said, in defense of these people, when you Google Nathaniel Alexander, it does come up with the picture of Lewis Latimer. So somebody in social media got it wrong a long time ago, and because we haven't fact checked it, we piggybacking on the wrong shit. So let us do a real quick moment in Black history where we're going to talk about Nathaniel Alexander and Lewis Latimer. Who were they, and why have they been confused? Well, on July 7th, 1911, Nathaniel Alexander of Lynchburg, Virginia. Shout out to Very Ashley, who just opened up a second store.
2.0.
2.0 in Lynchburg, Virginia. Shout out to our sister.
Thank you for staking it. I was going to do it in the close.
Yes. Stole your thunder. She loves me more. So I promise you she doesn't. Oh, okay.
I promise you she
doesn't. According to his patent, Nathaniel Alexander designed his chair to be used in schools, churches, and other auditoriums. Here's the key. His design included a book rest that was usable for the person sitting in the seat behind and was ideal for church or choir use. Many of us Gen Xers remember this chair because it had the little arm on it where we could put our books and stuff, and you can slide and do this. This is what Nathaniel Alexander did. The folding chair was already there. His patent was the addition that allowed the little armrest on it, which is a good enough thing. That's a big deal, and we should be happy about that. But he did not invent the chair, and perhaps he may share a likeness with Lewis Latimer, but the picture that we posting, y'all, is not Nathaniel Alexander. It's of Lewis Latimer. Now, who is Lewis Latimer? Lewis Latimer, like our brother Nathaniel Alexander, was another black man, a black man who was an inventor. He was a patent draftsman, and his inventions included evaporative air conditioning, improved process for manufacturing carbon filaments for light bulbs, and an improvement in toilet systems for railroad cars. He was also a part of the Edison Electric Light Company, where he worked as a draftsman. He was an apprentice to Thomas Edison, who was the one who got the credit for the light filament, translation, the light bulb. There are those who believe that Lewis Latimer was the one who actually did it, and Edison got credit for it. I'll add my own addendum to that. There are many, many, many inventions that have been attributed to white folk because they were the ones in control. Ain't nobody asking the dead man who got eaten by the lion what his opinion is. You got to ask the lion. So in them days, you didn't get black people who had the opportunity to speak loudly and proclaim what they did and what they invented. So there are those who said that Lewis Latimer actually invented the light bulb, but you're not going to find that out there. Thomas Edison has the patent. That's what we'll go with. But that's today's moment in Black history. Come on, y'all. Google. If you're going to use it, if you're going to have, as John says, these computers in your pocket, look it up. That one wasn't hard. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and their radio. We're looking for some missing children. This weekend, Miss Jacobs celebrated the 28th birthday of her daughter, Keisha Jacobs, who's been missing since 2016. So she done spent the last 7 years on a milk carton. That's the way us Gen Xers used to locate and find missing people, more specifically missing children. That's not me trying to have a lighthearted moment. That's me just keeping it funky and consistent with what we were just talking about. Keisha Jacobs been missing since September of 2016, right here in the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, from the Churchill area. Her person she was last seen with was convicted of murder in Florida, which makes us all very uncomfortable. But until we know, we gonna look for her. We gonna profile her, certainly on this show and beyond. So if you've seen Keisha Jacobs, please contact your local authorities. Keep your eyes open for our young sister. Tonight, we're looking for two. We're looking first for Davion Taylor Barnett. He's a 15-year-old black male missing from here in the Cap, Richmond, Virginia, since June 29th. He's 15. He's 5'9", 180. Davion packed a bag of clothes and left home on June 29th, 2023. He's 15, y'all. Packed the bag and bounced. 15. That's not okay. I don't care how grown he thinks he is, and I don't care whatever the situation was. He's 15. He packed the bag and bounced. We need to find this young man, bring him back to his family. So if you've seen him, please contact your local authorities, the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. We're also looking here in the Cap for another missing child. This missing child goes by the name of Taisha McCoy. My apologies if I said our young sister's name wrong. She's missing from here in the Cap, more specifically Henrico County, since July 22nd. She's a 14-year-old black female who stands 5'6" and 130. We don't know what she was wearing when she went missing, but she's missing. She's not home. And so we need to keep our eyes open for her. If you've seen her, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Henrico County Police Department, more specifically at 804-501-5000. So let's recap. We're looking for Taisha McCoy. We're looking for Davion Taylor Barnett. And we will always look for Keisha Jacobs. If you've seen any of them, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children and website missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. Let's find these babies. Let's get the rants and closings going. And we'll start with John. John, you got the con. I appreciate you, brother. You got a lot of patience with me tonight. Appreciate that. As Steph does, she's got a lot of patience with me as well. I just love y'all, man. We joked and we laughed in our group chat. We like each other. We like each other. We like each other. I like you, John. I like you. I like hanging out with you. I like talking to you. So I'm gonna probably like whatever it is you about to say. So I'm gonna shut up so you can say it. You got it. You got the con.
Thank you for such a wonderful introduction to my closing. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate this platform. And 12 years now. Amazing, bro. Amazing. People don't do things for 12 days, and you've been doing something for 12 years. And I'm gonna take this moment in my closing to congratulate you on such an amazing effort. And we don't speak about it enough. You very few could do. And thank you for doing it and making me a part of it. I get tired of saying the same thing over and over again, but it's just not clicking. So I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to keep trying until somebody gets it. We have to, as a people, as melanated folks in this country, we have to stop playing the game with the rules that came with it, because we'll never win, because the rules in the rule book says black people can't win. So you want to follow the rules to the game, and it says you can't win, and you're going to play. Never playing the game, you can't lose. I'll go back to something else I said in my Big John the Jeweler Gems of the Day. I said, part of the close, I said a few things, but at the end of it, I said, never sit down to play at a game where you can't afford to play, right? That is 10 times the blind. If you don't got 10 times the big blind, you can't sit at the table. We ain't got that. So why are we trying to sit at this table? We need to find a game that we can play in. We need to find a game where the rules don't say blacks lose, right? And we got to stop accepting the shit that they tell us. right? We talk about Florida not telling the truth about this. They ain't never told the truth about the slave trade. As many slaves came this way, went the other way. They found black people here, not the nomadic tribe people on the other side of the Mississippi. The black people on this side of the Mississippi, who has cities and towns. What about the pyramids off the coast of New Orleans in the Gulf? We don't want to talk about that. What about the mounds all over eastern United States? This is black people's land. We were here. And then the white people bought their Indian names, $5 Indians. We know about that. I could take you Florida, Seminole country, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Cherokee country, Virginia, Blackfoot country, Delaware, Maryland, Iroquois people, Delaware people. North of that, we have more nations. I forget the ones from Long Island. What's the tribe on Long Island? Those are Iroquois, right? All of these people, these are black people, right? Going towards Michigan and Illinois, more black people. These are all black people. Powhatan, leader of the nations who came together and designed a system of government that we practice in this country, a black man. These are black people. Don't get it twisted. And they came with the smallpox. They cut the population. It was like 150 million. They cut it to about 40 million. Then they came with horses and dogs. Horses, dogs, and cannons. And further destroyed and enslaved us. And then told a story about how they brought people. Yeah, they brought people over. Most of the slaves they brought over made it to the Caribbean. They didn't make it to this landmass. We got a couple 100,000 that hit these shores. And most of them were men. And they bred with the native women who were here, who were captive and who were raped by the white colonizers. Then they want to tell a story about, oh, the Indian tribes had slaves too. No. They had wars. They had wars, the French Indian Wars and other wars where they fought with these native people, and some of the blacks who they brought in as slaves fought on the side of their captors and were captured and then brought into the tribe. And when they were brought into the tribe as prisoners of war, yeah, they were slaves, but their children weren't. When the children were born, they were born as part of the tribe. And after they worked in the tribe, they became part of the tribe. They did not remain slaves. Was not chattel slavery. Stop trying to make it the same shit. It's not. Right? And we go with the Holocaust. Horrible thing. 6 million Jews died. But alongside the 6 million Jews that died, about 2 million black people died in the same Holocaust. But that was the second right. The first right, they killed about 50 million blacks in Africa. The first right, Leopold. The second right was the action out. The first right was the practice run. They learned how to do the Holocaust by killing black people. You can still name your kid Leopold, but you can't name your kid Hitler, right? And most of the people who founded Israel were Jews who were supportive of the second right. Right? Y'all didn't even understand that. There were Jews in the second right in Germany who supported the cause, and they were the ones who founded Israel. But we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the Nazis in South America. We don't want to talk about that. Right? We don't want to talk about any of that. We don't want to talk about the Olmec in Central America. We don't want to talk about the true Aztecs in Mexico and the black Mexicans. We don't want to talk about any of that. So before we start beefing about DeSantis and his dumbass and his bullshit, we need to understand that we have to stop feeding into the narrative that they sold us. None of that shit is true. Fuck all that shit and get your money and get your life. Right? Stop worrying about the distractions. Again, I had a good laugh at this whole thing over at the pier, at the dock or whatever, but that was just another distraction. That's all it was, another distraction. Because you know they done did some foul shit someplace in Congress. They done passed a law that made some shit harder, right? This law coming up next, all these LLCs, y'all got paperwork y'all got to fill out starting next year. And if y'all don't got it or got attorneys or accountants to do it for y'all shit going down. Y'all might go to jail. And y'all worried about fighting on the pier. You need to be fighting on finding an accountant for your LLC, right? You need to start thinking about these things and getting yourself together and thinking about what you're gonna do. Like says the GenXs, we ain't separate ourselves. They separated from us because we wasn't with the shits, and we still not with it. We still building our lives. And I didn't get a chance to get into the 401k and green talk, but I'm gonna get into it next week so you can understand what you're doing with your money. Right? All of these things are important. And yeah, I gotta go back. And before the end of this year, I'm gonna have me a couple acres, and I ain't telling y'all asses where. Right? And on that acre, I'm gonna have me a shed or a hut or some shit. Cause I'm gonna be ready for it if it come. Hope it don't ever come. Probably won't come. But those who are ready don't never have to get ready. Now you can't say nobody told you.
Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. Mama Mika said John should have his 20 minutes called, quote, "We don't want to talk about that." Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. You know, it's cool, right? We get to hang out with you, Steph. And, you know, you kind of like our glue. You balance us, you know, when we are maybe about to go off a cliff. I think we both kind of look over at you to see what kind of face you're giving us.
This would be a whole other show.
Yeah, it would be a different show if you wasn't here. It really would. But, you know, that's my way of putting you over. Like, I fucks with you so strong. And I appreciate you because you give us a perspective that perhaps we hadn't thought of. And as Black men, I can't speak for John, but I never like to be the person who has to represent all Black men just because some of them is fucked up. And I don't want to represent them. I represent me. And you might think I'm fucked up. Maybe you do. But the reality is I speak my truth confidently and without any wavering. And so does John, and so do you. And I love it when you do that. I appreciate when you do that. And as Tupac said to his mama, you're appreciated. So thank you for you being you. And this is where you share with them your Mama Mika said, yes, Steph is the shit too. So yeah, why don't you tell us why you the shit?
Well, first of all, I appreciate both of you brothers. I appreciate the familial relationship that you've created with me, and the fact that I know I could drop a message in a DM and a text message. I have text and said, do you have a moment, and gotten that moment immediately, and I appreciate it so much. And I trust you more than most. I trust you more than most.
And we are penis people.
And you're penis people, and I trust you. I want people to know I like penis people too, just not the messed up ones. And so thank you. Thanks for the camaraderie I get every Monday when I come here. It's appreciated. It's loved. I value you both. I couldn't spend time with two more insightful, intuitive, and kind brothers. And at the end of the day, that kindness stands out to me every single time. So I appreciate you both. Yes, you are. My rant today is not so much a rant, but an encouragement. I want to encourage Black people to allow joy. I was watching a video, maybe TikTok, something like that. It was a young Black girl, and she had pink braids. She was like 8 years old, and she was just swinging her hair, and she was so happy and joyous. And I went to the comments, and I can't tell you how many people were saying, this is too grown. This is too grown. I'll be honest with you, I've never looked at a 7-year-old girl and thought she was grown. She's a 7-year-old girl. So I think you should question yourself when you look at children and sexualize them, or immediately assign adulthood to them. And on the same token, a woman of a certain age who decided to wear pink hair, they would say she's being childish and ratchet. When will you allow yourself to be joyous? When will you allow yourselves to feel like special unicorns? When will you allow yourselves to step outside the box? Many of you can remember the words and things that were said about Will Smith's children, Willow and Jaden, and the fact that they did not march some preordained path. The reason you're bothered by them is because you've never seen unadulterated, engaged Black joy. You've never seen Black people just be joyous outside of the parameters of Blackness. And I will tell you, the experience of allowing children to be joyous will also open the door to several things. Allowing children to make decisions, how they want their hair to look. I'm a parent. I never had big concerns. Hair is hair. It's not going to change anything. It's hair. You cut it off, it grows back. You lock it, you cut it off. You know, you wear it in a high top fade circa 1990s. Whatever you're going to do, it's just hair. And when you intrude on a child's opportunity to experience something they're asking you to experience within reason, what you don't realize is that you're not giving him an opportunity or them an opportunity to identify who they are, which is often fear for some of you. And you're stepping in and immediately assigning the fear you have about your own life and being accepted, and you're assigning that to children who should be living with unadulterated joy. They should be having a moment to decide who they are within reason at a young age. Does she like pink hair? Okay. If she changes her mind and doesn't like it, you take it out. It's Kanekalon anyway. You didn't dye her hair. She just wanted pink braids. Same thing when it comes to the things that we often ascribe to whiteness. Oh, she's acting white. Oh, she likes that kind of music. That's white people stuff. We remove opportunities to have experiences from within our own culture, and we do it immediately. And when you do that, you're reducing your child's ability to identify what they do and don't like, what they want to experience or not, how they express themselves verbally, emotionally, physically. And all of those things are relevant to successfully living as an adult. You remove those things, you stifle them, you shutter their voices, you quiet them down. The same thing goes with opinions. Children are humans. They happen to just be smaller humans, but they have opinions. They have opinions about what they like and don't like. They have opinions about what tastes good and does not taste good to them. They have opinions about who they want to hug or don't want to hug. They have opinions. And in your desire to control them, because we have been operating under environmental control since the plantation, you transition that to your children. And the minute that they express themselves, even in a space that should be safe, at home, even in a way that should be safe, respectful, children should be seen and not heard. I told you what to do, don't talk back. I cannot tell you the amount of Black people I've met that are uncomfortable expressing themselves in a work environment because they operate in fear. And they don't operate in fear because of the world system. They operate in fear because of the home system that they came from. I cannot tell you the amount of Black people that only know how to communicate with each other in screaming and yelling because their parents only screamed and yelled at them. Now, I'm saying this and acknowledging that this happens in white society, but guess what? It doesn't impact them as significantly. They are expected to come out and assert themselves. They can leave the trailer park, get clean teeth, put on a suit, and all of a sudden, their skin suit is enough. It's not the same for your child. It's not the same for your loved one. Encourage each other to be ridiculously joyous. Every time I know that Marcus is at yoga, it is like Black boy joy for me. And I say that respectfully, acknowledging that he is a full-grown man, but it is that Black boy joy. I see him harnessing what should be at the center of all of us, and it is a desire to experience and live in the most joyous manner possible, regardless of what society is telling you. And I challenge you not to remove that from your children or your household or one another. We deserve joy. We deserve to be the Black girl. Not too long ago, I said, someone said something about my bow on here. And I was like, because you're not used to seeing a Black girl that's just comfortable with herself. I like you better without the bow. Well, I like me with the bow. Maybe I like you skinnier and you're not. But I'm okay if you want to be a big Black girl. Because whatever it means to you to live in the fullness of self and your joy, I'm not going to restrict you from that. When you see someone living differently, because for us as Black folk, there is a very clear, he's different. Encourage it. They're braver than you are. We tend to live under the expectations and auspices of those that we think are going to pay us. We start teaching our children right away to walk according. Here's the interesting thing. You will tell your children how to be acceptable in public, and you don't realize you're telling them white public. You're telling them all that, and the same little kids that they're going to school with have pink hair and purple hair. Their parents are encouraging autonomy. Their parents are telling them how to date. Their parents are encouraging them how to communicate with one another. Their parents are encouraging them to challenge them. I see videos now of young Gen Z white people challenging their parents on TikTok, confronting them with a camera in their face about racism. And you still have children in your house who can't tell you they don't want to wear Black sneakers this school year. That they would like to wear something of their own, and you're going, it's too grown. Give your children the opportunity to experience joy so that they don't live as joylessly as you might be living. And that's my rant.
I have Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. I'll close this out. As I shift to my rant and my closing, I will get a comment in, and then I'll close us out. Damon, the pretty boy, says Steph B is marvelous, like the guest preacher that comes to revival night, shuts it down, and makes you feel good. So
I'm going to do something I've never done.
Okay.
Damon, will you marry me?
Oh my!
I never proposed to a man, but
I'll
anyone that's heaping praise on me, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot now.
Shoot it! Pow, pow, pow.
Sorry to the woman who's loving Damon right now, but I'm going ahead and get ahead in line.
Yeah, I can dig it.
No, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
really
man. Yeah, he's an awesome guy, man. I love that guy. I talked to him this morning. We usually have our chats on Monday mornings to cap.
I'm RSVPing right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna be standing next to him, so I don't have to. Yeah, I'll be standing in between y'all. Two of my favorite people. Yeah, I'll be standing. I might.
Damon, do you hear this?
I might have to get the license to do that because I'm gonna be standing.
No, we go. No. We go out on a boat.
Yeah,
I'll make you captain.
That's even better. Ain't no hashtag Mark J. Live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. All right, so let me get in my rant and my close. It's officially a rant. I'm fussing at people's day. I got two phases to my rant, and I ain't feeling none of you people I'm finna talk about. So let me just start by saying, please stop. Like stop. Stop tagging me in your bullshit. I don't need to ever 19,000 more evers. Actually, how about 99 more evers? I don't never need to be tagged with 99 people in anything. There is nothing that can ever be relayed in social media that is worthy of tagging me with 98 other people. ever, ever, especially when I have no idea who at least 95 of those people are. For your event, when you have never, ever shared a fucking thing I've ever done. Ever. You ain't ever shared nothing I have did. Nothing. I've been doing this 12 years. Never heard of you. Maybe I don't promote your event. Maybe I don't endorse your product. Maybe I don't even know you. Stop that shit. Like, for real. Seriously. Now, for those folks who I rock with, you know who you are. I ain't got to tell you. And if I got to tell you, then don't tag me. How about that? How about that? But seriously, y'all rogue taggers, just go somewhere, like, for real, because I need you to stop being lazy and promote your shit. Rogue taggers, I need you to promote your shit like I do. Ain't never supported me in anything I ever did. Fuck out of here. Stop it. Which moves me to the next group of people I'm finna fuss at. I need you to take your book, your Bible, and you do what you do with it. But please stop beating me up with it. I'm not somebody that knows the verses and everything that's in it very well. Please don't come to me in a conversation and then quote a scripture that you don't even live by. Because, see, here's the thing. I am someone who's a spiritual person. And while you don't even deserve me giving you that, I'm gonna give you that context. But if you think that I'm supposed to live my life based upon your interpretation of the basic instructions before leaving Earth, then I'm going to be very, very, well, I'm going to come off. I don't think I am, but I'm going to come off very disrespectful to you. Very disrespectful to you, because I'm going to take your book and I'm going to throw it at you. Seriously. Man, Marcus, why are you so harsh? Because y'all harsh to me. Telling me how I should live. Telling me that I worship the devil because I don't view the world the way you do. Telling me that I'm going to go to hell. And telling me if I don't believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, that I am going to perish in eternal damnation, in brimstone and fire, because I don't tend to view the world the way you view. So let me let you in on a little secret. No, I'm not a Christian. No, I don't think Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. No, I don't believe any of that. So if that means I'm going to hell in your mind, then so be it. Because any creator that I would choose to give any love and passion to is not petty. That's petty. Oh, you don't believe the way I want you to believe, you're going to hell. Never mind that I'm a good person. Never mind that I'm someone that is always going to think about other people first. Never mind that I look at the 10 Commandments as the blueprint for how you're supposed to live. Be nice to your mama. Don't steal shit. Leave that man's wife alone. Don't be killing people. Come on, man. This is it. It's in the Bible. I got you. It's in the Bible. But it's also common sense. It's common sense. It's the moral compass that was instilled in me. And I don't need a book that you read and interpret your way. Tell me how I'm supposed to move. Now, does that mean that I don't view scripture as something that's important? Of course I do. Of course I do, because of course I do my way. I owe you shit, and you will get shit. You might just get the smoke, because I am the surly yogi. That is my murr. Marcus's unrelated rant. That got everything to do with how I move. Come talk to me. Come talk to me if you have questions about how I move. But don't throw shade, because I don't do that. And I don't respond to subliminals. Again, that's my Murray. Marcus's unrelated rants got nothing to do with what we in here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show, and remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. Also want to say peace to all of the stars and the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who before the song stopped, you heard singing in the background. Ain't no how to style Marcus J. I want to remind you to be blessed. I want to remind you to give grace, keep it 100, and remember that authenticity ain't got no competition. Do you? Be you. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Legacy Internet Radio. We are celebrating 12 years in internet radio and live podcasting. I'm proud of that, y'all. And you should be proud too. Because if you hear, you are continuing to listen. John is reminding me of something that I forgot. So we will go ahead and do this real quick and end the show in an odd way. But we do our affirmations. Thank you, John, for reminding me. We do our affirmations. We started this a few weeks ago. And John, real quick, read your affirmations. Steph, read yours. I'll read mine. Then we're going home. What you got?
Today I'm curious. Today I will open my mind and explore new possibilities and opportunities.
Today I am compassionate. Today I will reach out and help another person feel better about themselves.
Today I make a difference. Today I will stay focused, work hard, and do my very best at everything I do. Move that way, y'all. Take that with you in your daily walks in life. For John, for Steph, for yours truly, all the listeners, all the commenters, everybody that rocked with us tonight. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Like and share. Everything that you see here today can be seen in our replays on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So, ain't no how Steph Marcus J will be back later on. I ain't never saying when. We might not come back next week, but we're going to be back when we're back. Peace, y'all.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call in, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call in, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.